Hello, everyone in the world of YouTube and on Twitter. We are here, the Stardom Cast, to do our review of the show that we have just today seen, All-Star Grand Queendom 2024. It's in the books. We have a match of the year contender to talk about. We have so much to talk about. As you can tell, I am incredibly excited, and that is solely because Fukigen Death was on this pay-per-view and absolutely killed it in the high-speed three-way. But no, I am your host, Rob Goodwin. I'm joined, as ever, by Mr. Matt Turner himself. Matt Turner, what a day to be alive, my friend.
Tell you what, life's been, like Joe Walsh said, life has been good to me so far. It's been a blistering few days for us in the best way possible. Stay tuned because we will end this with some fantastic news of something that we did about 24 hours ago. So really exciting stuff. A great show. I know that about a week or so ago when the rest of this card was announced, people kind of were scratching their heads and like, really, after what they gave us last year? But obviously you can't compare what they gave us last year because it's one of the all-time greatest shows in the history of professional wrestling, and this show was phenomenal. Really, really was a show of the year contender. I put this up with the AEW Revolution. I put this up with AEW Dynasty. And to me, this was better than both nights of WrestleMania. This was a great show, and I am super excited to talk to you about it, my friend, and all of our fantastic listeners. So if you're out there in the YouTube world or wherever you're watching, send us a nice little comment, and we'll read them on air, and we'll be rocking and rolling and strutting and strolling, my friend.
We will indeed. And just to say that, hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm chill, Mark. You win. You're the first win. You're the first
there
one.
You go.
Win.
Well, I will be honest, and hello, Hendrix, as well. It's been a pleasure getting to know you over the WrestleMania week, my friend. I would have done that earlier, but I was on private chat and not the comments. So I was like, oh, it's weird that no one's messaged yet. And then I saw the comments. But yeah, it's... I didn't watch this pay-per-view live, I'll be perfectly honest, simply because you can probably tell behind me I'm moving house. So I had to get my priorities sorted, and believe it or not, Kirsty would not accept that Mayu and Sari was a priority for me, which, you know, fair enough. We'll have conversations about that, I'm sure, later on in the week. But yeah, so I've just this second finished watching the pay-per-view, and honestly... I know that we talked about in our preview show that we weren't going to be able to compare the two shows. We weren't going to be able to compare All-Star Grand Queendom 2023, which was an all-timer show, an all-timer card, and this card, which, even though there was some fantastic matches on there, some really intriguing matches, you know, Hanan and Seorianu, for example, is the one I keep going to. It's not something you can compare. However, looking at this show, again, Stardom have proved that even though there isn't necessarily the same level of hype as there was in 2023, in ring, with the stories that they told, I was hooked. I really, really was. Hello, Savior. How are you, my friend? And I'm a big
Great
fan
picture.
of the Tam there. Yeah.
Big fan. Looking good, Savior. Yeah, I watched this live after. Oh, plug Pedro. You're not that bad looking yourself, my friend, but we appreciate it. I gotta look good. I got a church dance to go to in about 3 hours. I gotta make sure I look tip-top Magoo. I was out last night. We went out for my sister-in-law's birthday, which was a fun time. It's always nice being around the family, and you know, my brother-in-law, he's fantastic. He's hilarious. So then I with running on a few hours of sleep, I got up and got to watch this pay-per-view, got about an hour of sleep, and then went to the gym. And you may say, Matt Turner, how does one get so much done? And I'll tell you what, I got a little, you already know where I'm going.
No way.
I got a little help from our new sponsor, from Chuck Norris. Wait, where it is? There it is.
There you go. That's the one, my friend.
Morning Kick. Roundhouse Provisions Morning Kick. It actually does work really, really well. I mean, Rob, you spent pretty much a week with me. You know that I put a lot of vitamins in my body to keep this motor going. But it's got your power greens, your probiotics, and ashwagandha. I think I said that right. Which is basically it's a type of a root that helps you with blood flow. It could be, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that's what Momo Kogo does when she does her. That's her gimmick.
That's what it is. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But in all seriousness, I do mix it in with my branched chain amino acid the last 3 or 4 days, and it really gives me a nice stream of energy throughout the day. It's not like some of the pre-workouts I used to use back in my younger 20s, where you're like the ultimate warrior going into the gym, shaking in the ropes, and 2 hours later you're crashed. It gets you really right through the day. I've taken a lot of the greens before, and sometimes when they mix, they're a little bit chalky and they don't taste good. This one, it mixes easy. It tastes really good. There's one flavor, strawberry lemonade. Like strawberries. I like lemonades. Works all well together. And again, it's well worth your money. And I'm glad that they're sponsors because it is a product I fully do support. And if you're wondering how to get it, just click the link on the description box below. And it gets for someone who's been working out more than half their life and works out every day and literally is nonstop from the moment my feet hit the floor to the moment that I go to bed. And by go to bed, I mean fall asleep on my couch at 9 o'clock. It's a supplement I really recommend. I think everybody should check it out. So there was my cheap plug, but it is something that I've been using the last 3 or 4 days, and I absolutely use it today because today was arm day, Mr. Rob Goodwin. Saturday's arm day. That and live Megadeth helped me get through my workout.
Of course. And as someone who has been privileged to share a bed with Matt Turner, as I have been, um, I can attest that the man does not sleep and is up at the crack of dawn. I did say to him before we went to Philly that I was going to join him in the gym, and I managed precisely no times. But again, I'm just not as motivated as Mr. Matt Turner over there. I love the fact that you managed to work the Chuck Norris promotion in. Very well done. Very well done. But yes,
I got some other books here that I'm sure I'll be able to work in for the next 2.5 to 3 hours.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If I ever write a follow up to the 50 greatest matches, I can think of certainly 2 that are going to be in there. But moving on, let's talk a little bit about some news that is coming up. Again, thank you to everyone that is watching, whether it's on Twitter or whether it's on YouTube. Hello, everyone. It's really cool to be here and doing this live, and it's actually working, which is touch wood. A fantastic thing because
Don't jinx
it didn't last time. I was just going to say. So first couple of things, the Wrestling Observer newsline, and that's a good thing about doing these over the weekend. We can actually talk about stuff that was announced in the Observer, because ordinarily what we've put out on the Thursday and the Friday is immediately negated by what comes out in the Observer. But there was a couple of things, and one of these actually I'd had some sort of insider knowledge. Someone had told me that this was the case. But in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, we talked about Marigold and their deal with Wrestle Universe, which is an incredible deal. But it turns out that Taro Okada apparently recently attempted to get a deal to air Stardom shows live on Wrestle Universe, but they were pipped to the post, and ultimately Wrestle Universe chose Marigold instead. Now, this tells me 2 things. One, that's a really, really good deal for Rossi Ogawa. The fact that he was able to beat out Stardom and actually get a place on this streaming service. The second thing it tells me is that Stardom are in no way attached to Stardom World. You already have your own streaming service, so why do you then need to go onto Wrestle Universe? So my thought is, especially with the news that we talked about on the preview show about how New Japan has bought the stakes in Bushiroad Fight and Stardom is effectively becoming a subsidiary of New Japan, it does make me wonder if we will see an amalgamation of the 2, whether we'll see Stardom shows streaming on the New Japan World app when it's finally, sorted and less riddled with issues and things like that. But was that something that you thought about as well in terms of because, again, Wrestle Universe is very much your cyber agent promotions, TJPW, Noah, DDT, blah blah blah. However, Stardom is owned by Bushiroad. So how would that have figured on a Wrestle Universe? Was that simply because they didn't want Marigold getting the streaming deal? Or was it simply a case of, right, well, that's an established streaming platform and more people might find us because they've already got this to watch Noah, TJPW, Gambler Pro, or whatever? Or is it a case of, actually, well, what did you think, basically, is my question.
First of all, the fact that Rossi went, our Wrestle Universe went with Rossi, Cyberfight went with Rossi. If they would have got Stardom, you get the back catalog as well. 13 years of phenomenal wrestling. I say all the time, if Stardom was to cease to exist tomorrow, which they're not going to, folks, don't clip this. That back catalog alone is worth your $7. I mean, all that. So you would get all that stuff, and the fact that there's no back catalog at all, zero of Marigold, and the fact that Cyberfight went with Rossi's company, I think just goes to show just the connections that Rossi's built up over the 30 plus years that he's been working in the industry. So there's that to think about. Something else too you have to think about, Rob, and everybody listening, is that you have the number one Japanese wrestling company is New Japan, and then number two is I think it's Stardom. Either Stardom or I think it's Stardom. So, and they're under the same umbrella. Well, you have Wrestle Universe, as you mentioned. They have DDT, they have Noah, they have Sendai Girls, TJPW. Now they have Marigold. So now this is something where you get all that for one price on one app. Now Bushiroad has to say, well, let's listen. We have two companies, but two different streaming platforms. Let's merge them together, because our competition has 5 or 6 companies under one. So I wouldn't be shocked by the end of this year you see something on a New Japan World or something where they meld the two together and you pay for it. And I think we talked about it a couple of days ago on the episode that just dropped just the other day, that maybe that's something that they would do. It would be smart, again, because that's what your competitors are doing. There's 5 or 6 really good wrestling companies on that one app. You have the top 2 wrestling companies, one male dominated, one female dominated, all under your umbrella. Why wouldn't you put that on one streaming platform? But I didn't put that together, how you just mentioned, partner, how that they're not tied into Stardom World at all. So if there's some sort of deal that they can get out of it, ASAP. So it's, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Again, this is one of the good things with Rossi's company, with Marigold, or Rossi Vice Wrestling. Again, they missed the ball there. Let's call it. You see it with the Rossi's company. It's making Stardom do better. It's making them like, okay, we got to get on the ball with production, and we got to start streaming shows. We got to start signing these girls along with contracts. We got to bring Sari in for this dream match. You're doing all this stuff already before Rossi's company has yet to have a show. So it's good on Stardom for the fact that they're upping their production quality. And now that they see that Rossi's already on an established platform, again, don't be shocked if this is something that they kind of fast lane in to getting New Japan and Stardom all on one streaming platform for one low price.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked for Wrestle Universe, hasn't it? Which is still, it's still, for me, the easiest streaming platform, with the exception of the WWE Network. Obviously, I know you don't have that anymore in the US. You've got Peacock, which I'm assuming will somehow make its way over to the US, to the UK, which I'm not looking forward to. But someone's put it actually in the chat, I believe it's Hendrix, about maybe having New Japan World and having it as a featured tab. And anyone that's got Wrestle Universe currently, you will see there at the top of the app, you have got Noah, DDT, TJPW, Gamba Pro. So all you've got to do is click on the one you want, and there are all the shows. And actually, Mark Anlish has said that AEW is played through New Japan World as well in Japan. So you could have that as a tab as well. I personally think having the two together, especially as clearly Stardom aren't tied to their streaming platform. It's not a case of, no, we've got our own and we're sorted with that. Clearly, they're looking to shop other options, or they wouldn't have even entertained the idea of Wrestle Universe unless it's some sort of petty way of trying to get one over on Rossi. I personally think, and I said this on the preview episode, I've doubled down on this now. I do think it's only a matter of time before they end up on the New Japan World app. I think there's a couple of things that need ironing out on the New Japan World app, which has been very public. I know that there was some issues with it very, very recently in terms of the Road to Wrestling Dontaku shows. But hopefully that will be the case. Obviously, the entire back catalogue will need to be ported over, so it won't be an easy thing to do, but I imagine that sometime in the near future that will happen again, especially with the news that Stardom is becoming a subsidiary effectively of New Japan. Next thing that I want to talk about again in the Observer is the GOAT herself, Mayu Iwatani. And this has been sort of transcribed by Scotty Wrestling, who is the absolute GOAT himself. So GOAT recognizes GOAT. And he's put, while a lot of people have said Mayu Iwatani will be leaving for Marigold when her contract expires, she told Tokyo Sports that she will be staying, which is something that we talked about at length a couple of weeks ago. Those close to the situation, including in the Japanese media and those who know her, say that she is going to Marigold when her contract expires. And I think this is the worst kept secret in the entire world of Marigold and Stardom. Again, it's pro wrestling, card subject to change, and obviously, much as Mayu is my favorite wrestler in the entire history of wrestling, and I've got nothing but good things to say about her, I imagine that she is incredibly indecisive. It adds to her charm. So, things may change, especially as we don't know just how long her contract is. We know it's longer than the others, but I don't know when it actually expires. But, people have said, oh, she's with Stardom now. That's going to be the thing. She's with Stardom. She's settled. But the thing is, she's going to say that. She's under contract with Stardom. She's not going to be under contract with Stardom, go to Tokyo Sports and go, yeah, do you know what? I'm only here to see out my contract and then I'm going. It's not professional and it does no one any favors. Mayu has been in the game long enough to go, do you know what? For now, I am here in Stardom. Okay. She doesn't even have to say for now, I'm here in Stardom. Okay. Because she's contractually obliged to be there in Stardom. What she does after that contract is anybody's guess. However, we talked about loyalty to Rossi in the preview episode and how some wrestlers have a loyalty to Rossi. Mayu is the quintessential Rossi loyalist, not only because she's known him the longest out of the active roster, with the exception of maybe Saki Kashima, but Rossi was a father figure to her. That's, one of the entire foundations of the Runaway Wrestler film. So I think that goes a little bit deeper than loyalty. And also, Mayu Iwatani is, and I think we talked about this as well, Mayu Iwatani has won everything there is to win in Stardom. She drops this IWGP Women's Championship, and what is there left for her to do in Stardom? She's won the 5-star Grand Prix. She's won the Cinderella twice. She has won every belt she has been eligible for. What is there left to do? Plus, you put on the docket that Marigold have this proposed partnership with WWE in the offing, and suddenly she is able to get back in a ring, maybe for a one-off match with Io Sky, who is one of her best friends, Kairi again, and suddenly it becomes almost a no-brainer. Where again, it's pro wrestling, card is subject to change. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. However, I would maybe not the new house. I would put my house, this house, let's say, the one I'm moving out of.
There you go.
I am willing to put this house on Mayu being in Marigold this time next year. Which obviously, as the icon of Stardom, is a devastating. And plus, I will just say, when she leaves, like, I know that Stardom have weathered the storm with Marigold, so to speak, and we talked a little bit about this, about how they knew Julia was leaving anyway, so they were able to prepare for that. Utami, I think, was a big loss, but they've been able to compensate for that. If Mayu leaves, that's a whole other kettle of fish. And I think Mark's just put in the chat that he thinks that the contract's up at the end of May. I know that she's got some obligations regarding the film, and I think the film comes out on the 23rd of May. I think there's the official release date for it. So I'd be surprised if it's May, because she'll have to do a lot of the promo for that film as well. So I imagine it will be around the 5-star Grand Prix, around that time. I could be completely wrong, and I am just making that up, but I'd be surprised if it's that close to the airing date of her film. Matt, what about you? What do you think?
I'll look at this from a different way. I see your point. Again, I don't know if she is 100% knowing what she does. I'm not, as we record this, I'm still 50-50 on whether what she's doing.
Just in general. Not even about this. Yeah. I'm not sure she knows what she's doing, full stop. Yeah.
You know what? She's gonna show up in Impact. That's what's going to happen. She's going to throw everybody off and just sign a contract with Impact. And there you go. I heard Jordan Grace.
Oh, my God. Great. Miles Iwatani has turned up in the Impact Zone.
There you go. You mentioned what else is there for her to do because she's won everything. Yeah, that's a point. But at the same time, we see wrestlers that stay with companies that win the championship multiple times, and their runs are different. Mayu's first run was obviously way different from her second run because her first run ended, prematurely because of the injury. Her second run had happened during a COVID era. So maybe it's something where if she does decide, and again, I don't know, if she does decide to stay with Stardom, maybe they give her a proper red belt run 15, 16, 17-month run where then she's going to be wrestling the Sai Kamatanis. She's going to be wrestling the Hazukis. That's something they can do. She can be the first person to win the 5-star twice. Her and Hanan can go and have this legendary tag team championship run. So even though she's done everything, when you go and do it again, it's a completely different experience because your challenges are different. The year is different. You're a different wrestler than you were. As great as Mayu was in that run in 2020, she's a better wrestler now in 2024. I mean, look at the year she's had. So yeah, it's a possibility where you can say it's like, well, I won everything. It's like, well, yeah, but you can go back and we can do a whole nother run and just add to your legacy. So that's something that she can be looking at as well. But it's going to be weird to see what she does. She's clearly can do whatever she wants. She's the golden goose. She's clearly the top priority for not only Rossi but for Stardom as well, as far as when they're going to sign her. And then it's also something where she can tell Stardom if her contract is up, say in May. So you could say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to sign a year deal. I'm going to sign a deal until the end of the year. I'll give you to the end of the year, and that's it. She may go to Rossi's company and say the same thing. Hey, you want me to sign a 2-year deal? I'll work with you, but I only want to work with you for 6 or 7 months and see where it is. And if you don't like it, then I'll go back over to Stardom. So the ball is in her court. She can do what she wants to do. I'm going to kind of just throw this out here, Rob, because I was thinking about this the other day. Since Mayu is a top priority for both companies, what if she's able to kind of play both sides of the fence and saying, you know what, Marigold, I'll do 20 dates for you. Ross, I'll do 20 dates for you, and I'll work for both companies. That's something because of her status in pro wrestling that she might be able to work that out.
I would love to think that would be an option. However, I think if you're Taro Okada, there's no way you have anyone, unless they are literally a freelancer. I don't think you have anyone wrestling for both companies. Now, in terms of Mayu, I think she has the power to use this as leverage to get literally as much money as she wants from Bushi Road, if that's where she wants to go. However, I do feel that the loyalty aspect of it, because for me, it's different for Mayu. The loyalty aspect is different for Mayu. She owes so much to Rossi, and not just from a wrestling standpoint. I don't think she'd hold, Marigold over a barrel to say, right, well, I want this sort of money. I do agree in terms of winning championships multiple times. I do think, both her red belt reigns, were blighted for different reasons. However, that second reign, in my opinion, even though it was during the COVID era, is one of the greatest reigns with the red belt, banger after banger after banger. And she's obviously a multi-time white belt champion, multi-time artist, multi-time goddess of stardom champion. And I do wonder if that is enough now, or if the lure of doing something brand new. And we saw that with Scotty Wrestling's fantastic interview with Utami. One of the laws for Utami was starting something new, and that was the same. I think Pep's Wrestling for Wrestle Purist did an interview with Victoria Yuzuki, and that was something that lured her as well. The idea of starting a promotion from scratch. How often do you get to do that? And yeah, we see Mayu do it with Stardom, but maybe that will be a lure for her again. I've seen what it's like. I had that family of Fuka, of Rossi, of Nanai Takahashi, that 3 at the top of Stardom. I get to work with that again, just like the good old days. And that nostalgia might play a factor as well. Ultimately, all of this is speculation. We don't know.
We won't know until it happens. Yeah.
Exactly. It is interesting. And the Savior has actually put, if Mayu leaves, that's a huge loss. She's the Stardom icon for a reason. Completely agree. She's the centerpiece of Stardom. She's been loyal for a decade now. Absolutely. There's only Saki Kashima on the active roster that has been with the company since 2011, and she had a break. I remember saying it on Twitter, Mayu leaving Stardom is like Okada leaving New Japan. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And look at the damage that's done for New Japan. They had a Corkin show like
Yeah.
a week or two ago. They did like 800 people, which is like, whoa, for New Japan. Like, I mean, the New Japan, I mean, that's the worst time for them, too. They lost Ibushi, they lost Ospreay. Tanahashi, God bless him, he's trying his best. His body's beat up. Naito's not too far along. They're obviously, Stardom doesn't have that problem because they have a lot of people. You're not going to replace Mayu. They never replaced Io. They never replaced Kari. How can you? But at the same time, you slot somebody up there. So, yeah, it is like basically, who would have ever thought that Okada would leave New Japan? Whoever thought that Mayu would leave Stardom, but at the same time, it's because of the person that was behind Stardom for 13 years. That was like a father figure to her. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when her contract is up, to see what she does. She's in a win-win, but a loss-loss situation as well. And I do, when it comes down to the decisions she's going to make, Mayu just being a genuinely great person, it's going to break her heart because she's not going to want to leave Stardom. At the same time, she stays with Stardom, she's not going to want to not betray Ross. I think Rossi would understand, but not, say, hey, I'm going to stay here with Stardom. So again, it's a win-win situation because she's going to be put in a great situation financially, and as far as where she's booked, creatively, she's going to be put in a great situation. But at the same time, she's going to have to say no to one and yes to the other. So.
Yeah, again, it's not going to be easy because yes, you are going to Rossi, but you are also leaving behind a whole subsection of your friends, some of whom you've been friends with for, so many years. Like, I know that obviously on camera at the moment, Mayu and Starlight Kid are on opposite sides of the fence, but we know that they're close backstage. We know that Mayu and Koguma are close. We know that Mayu and Hannon are close as well. So it would be a huge loss. And I think that would rock Stardom more than the whole Marigold thing anyway. Mayu leaving is a huge thing for Stardom. And if you're Taro Okada, if you're Bushi Road, you bend over backwards to keep Mayu in your promotion, because if everyone on that roster, if she leaves, that is hugely damaging PR. I just want to say that out of left field, Mark Candlish, I would love to see Mayu versus Athena. Wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all? If she stays in Stardom, obviously that AEW partnership, a Mayu versus Athena match, God, yeah. And do you know what? I bet Athena would love that as well.
Yeah, and we might get some insight on that in the next few months. Wink. We got a lot of stuff going on here, folks. A lot of irons in the fire. So a lot of really cool stuff. Rob, if you're Mr. Okada, obviously you're gonna give Mayu a whole bunch of money, but would you give Mayu a sequel movie to get her to stay?
Dude, I'd give her a Netflix series.
I just popped them.
Imagine. So before we move on to the show review, hi Colin. By the way, I've just seen that you're on the what's been live for 28 minutes and 2 seconds, my friend. Just before we get on to other things, just something that came up on Patreon in regards to how we addressed the Rossi allegations that Kenny alluded to. And it was someone on our Patreon who just basically had a little bit of feedback on the way that we addressed it. And I was going to comment privately on Patreon and accidentally deleted the comment. So I thought I'd address it on here so that it didn't look like I was just basically running away from the comment. I'm not. So basically, look, it's a knotty subject, and if I offended anyone with the way that we reported, then obviously I wholeheartedly apologize. The difficulty lies in, at least for us, that there's been no concrete allegations. Nothing's actually been made. Kenny said a lot without saying anything at all. But of course, if anything else happens, if anything comes out, then we'll report it and we will be very objective about it. Now, we did talk about people jumping to Rossi's defense, and that was what we reported. And yes, obviously that is going to be skewed in Rossi's favor, but at the moment, it's the only side we've got. I thought it was important to note that side as well, especially as Rossi isn't going to come out and defend himself. If we've learned anything, it's just that basically Rossi isn't going to say anything. He's just going to carry on carrying on. Those that are close to the situation came out and supported him. And basically, me and Matt, as we report it, are on the outside looking in. We can only report what we have been given. And I know one of the things that I said that potentially not offended, but was could have been taken the wrong way was when I said how it's different in Japan. Now, please don't think I was being dismissive just because it's different. That wasn't what I meant. I was merely stating that the idol culture in Japan is something that is so vastly different to anything we have in the West. And honestly, it's something that I don't really understand. And I don't think people in the West do understand it. Now, that's not an excuse. But however, it does need to be noted that we have been informed by a source that is close to all of this, whether they are biased towards Rossi or not, that anything that happened in regards to bikiniing or other photo books, if they were under 18, they were given parental consent and basically were covered up as well. Now, I actually said last week that I don't particularly like the bikini books. It's not my vibe. I'm not a fan of it at all. But basically, we don't know the mechanics of the situation, and we're going off what we've been told. We weren't there, and we are very much commenting as outsiders with the information that we have. Now, obviously, we have sort of our own opinions. We don't want that to color the way we report things. But obviously, the more things that come out, if more things come out, then obviously we are going to talk about them. But for now, unless more is said, more comes out, I don't think we need to talk about the situation anymore. We won't be touching on it again unless something else comes out. But basically, I didn't want anyone leaving this podcast or leaving future podcast episodes that we do thinking that we are in any way dismissive or flippant about the situation. If this situation turns into something that is proved and the allegations come out and they prove to be true, then obviously we condemn those, obviously. But at the moment, nothing has been said. Nothing has been said at all. Okay, I haven't seen the offending photo book because, again, I don't like them. But hopefully that clears anything up. And again, if you feel like we're not reporting something accurately or you feel like we can do something better, please feel free to comment. That's why we do this. Feedback. Absolutely. So I apologize. I didn't mean to delete the comment, but I thought I'd address it here. And then hopefully that sort of clears it up. But yes, if there's anything else, please let me know. Anyway,
go on, quick, because like we always say, it's just not my podcast, it's our podcast. We literally are all in this together, and we are just here to promote not only stardom but not just wrestling and just life in general, folks. We're just here to have a good time and have a few laughs and talk about some really, really good wrestling, because after all, wrestling is the king of sports and queens, as Rob is looked like he's struggling with that McDonald's cup. But regardless, I think you got it. Okay, buddy.
Just about got it. It's a milkshake. So, like, I'm going to talk about this now. Because it's a milkshake, it's disintegrated the straw, which is an issue. And it means that whenever I get to about there, it just makes a horrible slurping sound. So I'm trying to drink it secretly so that it's not coming through the microphone as this horrible, like, slurping pot noodle sound. But there we are. I'm not going to get any more out of it. So it's now onto the beer, which is going to make my stomach curdle horrendously. So,
yeah, if you're having a milkshake and chasing it with a beer, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Goodwin. And then he's going to try to do this podcast. So what are you drinking there, brother? What do you got going on?
This is Birra Moretti.
I don't know. Had
again. There you go. For
Aja Kong. We did there it is. Yeah, the Aja Kong match that'll be up on Patreon feeds, I believe, tomorrow.
Correct. Tomorrow morning.
Right.
Aja Kong. Look at you. I'm so proud of you. So yeah, anyway, the main reason why we're here, All-Star Grand Queendom, as I mentioned, is in the books. Happened this morning, 27th of April. for those who are watching this back. From the Yokohama Buntai, I believe the first wrestling show to emanate from the Yokohama Buntai. The official attendance stands at 2,735. Now, I don't know what the setup in terms of the Yokohama Buntai is. So I don't know what a good number is or a bad number is. Obviously, again, it's going to draw comparisons to the Yokohama Arena until we know how many tickets were sold, until we know how many sort of seats it has in general. I don't feel like we can comment on that number. And this was something that I sort of thought back on after our preview, when I spoke about how I think they want to draw at least 3,000. And I was like, well, actually, how many people are they setting up for? How many people does it hold? I know it didn't exactly look like tickets were selling well before they released the rest of the card, but I still think it looked fairly full. I thought the crowd were really engaged in the matches, especially from probably the tag four-way onwards. The crowd were really, really into this show. Again, I don't feel like we can... Hello, Karen! I've just realized. Sorry.
He popped. I jumped back.
I did. I don't feel like we can comment on whether that attendance is disappointing or not, Matt.
Yeah, I know. They did well over 5,000 for that show last year, but again, Yokohama Arena scaled for way bigger. So I think when they made the announcement back at I think it was like the fall last year that they were doing Yokohama Arena, they were looking for like 4,000 to 5,000, depending how they scaled it. And when we dropped the episode not that long ago, or just a few days ago, we were saying 3,000 would probably be the number. And I said they'll probably be about 27 to 2,800 just because the demand is completely different because Yokohama Arena, no Mercedes, and we'll get into it. But when that show started, by the time we got to match 2 or 3, I was kind of just looking. I was like, there's not many empty seats there, at least not unless they're shooting it different. And again, I think it is set up for around 4,000 people. But the setup that they did looked like it might have taken away some of the seats because, boy, howdy, this was a phenomenal setup they did with all those jumbotrons. And for the main matches for the screen to split, I thought that was brilliantly done. And I was actually watching All-Star Grand Queendom last year, and the rampway had like the LED boards, which I thought was really cool, which I thought they maybe should have added to this one. But regardless, I thought the setup they had for this show was next level and one of, if not the best entranceway setups that Stardom has ever had in their 13 plus year history. So I thought it was very well done. I thought they would have been a little over 3,000, 2,735. Not a bad number, Rob, considering the fact that, and here's something too. Even though they drew well less than last year, this might have been more profitable than last year because the Yokohama Arena is bigger, so the rent's probably more. You don't have to pay a Mercedes. You don't have to, which is, I'm sure she had a heavy price tag, and rightfully so, because she drew a lot of tickets and a lot of pay-per-views. So you're not bringing in a Mercedes. You obviously Julia's contract you don't have. With Tommy's contract, you had Fua-chan, who, if you remember, was a huge, huge celebrity. So I'm sure she cost a pretty penny in. So even though you didn't make as much money, your overhead might have been lower. And the fact that they drew almost 2,800 people by not having it, other than Aja Kong, a huge, huge attraction coming over from the States, just speaks well for how big this roster is. And if anybody that is disappointed in that number, I can bet you that the 2,700 people that left this arena, I don't think there was few that were disappointed. You had great matches, you had great stories, you had great angles, you had a lot of questions that need to be answered, which is going to make us pay attention more to the next show. Now, obviously, Rob, me and you will be paying attention to the next few shows because we have a podcast that we do that covers it. So, I thought all in all, great number. I wish they would have did a little over 3,000, but again, we don't know what was scaled at. It looked pretty full. Everybody was engaged, and this show is absolutely fantastic. Definitely in the running for the show of the year in the first quarter of 2024.
And it is worth noting as well that 2,735 people will put that as Stardom's 8th highest attendance and 7th if you take out the co-promoted historic crossover. So it's still a good number for Stardom. And again, I believe it's Hendricks. Hendricks has just said that obviously it's a brand spanking new arena from a news article. It says that it can hold about 5,000 people. It's the former Yokohama Cultural Gymnasium. I knew it was a former arena, but I couldn't remember which one it was. For some strange reason, I thought it was the Bunker. But there we are. So thank you, Karen. Thank you, Hendrix. Again, their 7th highest soul promoted show in the 900 and something events that they've run. I think is still a very, very, very commendable effort from Stardom. Let's talk then a little bit about the matches. So these did have a pre-show that aired for free on YouTube. And what I'll do is I'll talk about these 2 matches at the same time. So in your opening match, Momo Kogo defeated Rana Yagami in 6 minutes and 11 seconds. And then in the second pre-show match, the Cosmic Angels team of Yuna Mizumori and Aya Sakura defeated Lady C and Rian in 8 minutes and 57 seconds. So a couple of things to point out from this match. First of all, it's lovely to see Momo Kogo getting the win. It's lovely to see her healthy, I think, is another and perhaps more important thing. And I'm really, really, really enjoying this new blood of Cosmic Angels. And obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more about even more new blood in Cosmic Angels very shortly. But Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora, I think, come out of this show with a lot of upside, personally. I think both women did tremendously well with what they were tasked.
Yeah, obviously we're going to get into it. Momo Kogo, it's nice to see her getting a win and a singles win on a big show. Literally, you're opening the show. It's free on YouTube. So even though if you're like, I'm not going to pay the, I think it was like $32 or $33, I'll wait for it to come on Stardom World, but I'll check out the free stuff they give me on YouTube. She's the first match you see. Really good match with Rana Yagami. Rana throws a lot of heavy strikes. Momo does a great job being resilient and is able to put her away at around the 6-minute mark with the Nectar Peach. I thought it was a really good match to start it out. Nothing too crazy. Didn't warrant welcome. I gave it the gentleman's 3 stars, but it was really good to see Momo Kogo healthy, back in the ring, picking up a big win on a big show. And again, if you weren't there in Yokohama Buntai, you're able to watch it free on YouTube, which I know they have well over 1 million subscribers. YouTube, so there's a lot of people that got to see Momo Kogo in a big match. And good on her. Good on her.
Absolutely. And can we just talk about, I know that probably very few people will not know this, but will have seen this. Have you seen Rana Yagami playing the drums?
No, you keep putting that up. You bring that up all the time on the podcast. I need to.
She's incredible. Why, I guess. She's really, really good. She's like my favorite wrestler now for that sole reason, because she's a metal drummer and she's really damn good at it as well. So remind me, and I'll send you the link. Rana Yagami is another one who has sort of flown under the radar. We've sang the praises, especially of Sayaka Kurora recently, of the way she's progressed. And again, we'll talk about it later on because I think she did a fantastic, fantastic job against Rina. But Rana Yagami, because she is so different to the other rookies, she's so strike heavy, she's so submission based, she's so effectively Shuri in the way that she wrestles and in that mold. But I think she looked really, really good here, meshed really well with Momo Kogo. Again, you don't want to blow the audience up too early with these pre-show matches. They were there sort of to warm the crowd up and did a fantastic job of that. In terms of that tag match, Matt, what did you think?
I thought everybody looked good. Again, we made mention when we did our preview show a couple days ago that this might be, with the 2 preview matches, this might be a good, nice coming out party for Momo Kogo and Yuna Mizumori, who both have worked really, really hard to get to their spots, and they're going to get big wins here on a pay-per-view. And that's what happened here. I thought Yuna looked really good. Lady C, she was fantastic right from the get-go. She goes for the giant swing. Rian blows me away. Again, all these Stardom rookies, for the past, year and a half, blows me away. They're only rookies, and they wrestle like they're 5 or 6 years vets. Rian, her timing, her ring positioning, especially with all the quick covers, I thought it's terrific. Lady C again here was great. Yuna was the MVP of the match, and she does pick up the win. I had this at 3.25 stars, and very much like the first match. It didn't wear out its welcome. Everybody did what they needed to do to warm up the crowd to get ready for the main part of the show.
It's funny you should say that, actually, because aside from obviously the final 3 matches, none of these matches surpassed 20 minutes or came close to 20 minutes. None of them outstayed their welcome. And I think that was really, really, really important. All of them got in, did their stuff, got the crowd to a pitch, and then took it home. And then obviously by the time we got to those 3 main event matches, the crowd were at fever pitch, and rightly so, because we had 3 really, really, really solid matches. I don't know if this was just an issue on our end, but the English commentary feed for the pay-per-view seemed to be, well, for lack of a better phrase, missing for us because it redirected us to the Japanese feed. I don't exactly know what happened. I know Stu Fulton and later on Waka Tsukiyama were on English comms, but I don't know if there's been anything come out about what happened, Matt.
Yeah, I was a little confused. I got up 1:45. It started at 2. Got, just to kind of get ready, put my contacts in and get ready to rock and roll. And I noticed that when I was checking my email that I got an email from the service, the PIA service, saying the English commentary didn't work, that you're going to have to purchase the Japanese commentary and get a refund. And now I'm scrambling because now I'm like 6-7 minutes. Yeah, so you have to purchase this other one. Here's this link. Email this person and they'll offer you a refund. And I'm just waking up. And again, I got in a little bit late last night, had a few adult beverages to celebrate what was a great day yesterday. So like I said, I was going to. So I'm not running on much sleep. Yes, I did. I'm not running on too much sleep. And I was like, oh, now I'm running against the clock because I know that my internet's not the best. Sometimes I have to restart my Fire Stick. So now that's in the back of my head because I want to start watching this on time. So then I was like, let me go over to the We Are Stardom page because they do a pretty good job updating that. And then it said that the link was fixed. So I said, hold on one second. Let me get the link that I purchased. There it is. They're handing out refunds for those who want English commentary. So what I did is then I just clicked on the link that they sent me when I bought the pay-per-view a day or two ago. And then I was able to feed that over to my main TV in my living room. And it came out perfectly. But I think after kind of just going through somebody's comments is that when I purchased the link, and I purchased it right from when Stu Fulton said English commentary on this, I'll be doing English commentary. Here's the link. I purchased it from that link. But I think somebody put up that when you click that link, you had to scroll down to something else to click English commentary. And that's never happened before. They would give you 2 different links if you want to purchase American or the English commentary or the Japanese commentary. So I might have just actually purchased the Japanese commentary without noticing it. I just clicked the link. That's what could have happened.
So it's your fault.
Really what could happen. Yeah, so it's all my fault. Put the heat on me, brother. So I was like, and I think I told you, I think I texted you and I said, I think that it's just the Japanese commentary. It's working for me. I watch all the stars in Japanese commentary. What I'll do is once the English comms come up in a few days on Stardom World, I'll go back and watch the few main matches with the English commentary. So yeah, we don't know. I'm assuming Stu Fulton and Walker did a great job because they're fantastic at what they do. Yeah. But if anybody watched the English commentary, guys, put a comment on the thing and let me know. Let us know how they did because myself and Mr. Gooden watched this in the Japanese commentary. And I'll tell you what, the Japanese commentary, they were really hyped during the 4-way tag match to the point where I stopped taking notes.
They really were.
I would look down, I'd write something, and you couldn't blink anyway. So I was just like, I literally only have like 6 or 7 notes from the match. I'm like, forget it, because I can't pay attention because they were so into it. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'll figure this one out later. But yeah, I mean, if anybody that's watching this feed, well, watch it with the English commentary. Put something in the comment section. Let us know how Stu and Waka did.
Hendricks just said it was Momokogo as well. Yeah, I mean, the Japanese commentary, I've never minded the Japanese commentary simply because they're so into it. The Savior says English commentary was all right. One of the announcers had a few mess ups. Sorry, put the right comment up. There we go. One of the announcers had a few mess ups during the show, but it was tolerable. Okay. But yeah, it's one of the. It's one of the. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things.
Karen, you're still there, right? Hire us.
It's one of the things I love about going back and watching All Japan Pro Wrestling on YouTube, simply because the Japanese commentary, it's so emotional and they get so invested in the matches. And that was the case here, especially with the 4-way tag with Mayu and Sari. I thought they were so into it. They were just fans at ringside, and there's something very, very endearing about that anyway. We'll move on then to the first match of the main card, which saw Rina defeat Sayaka Kurora as she continued her gargantuan reign with the Future of Stardom Championship in 8 minutes and 57 seconds. This, of course, brings Rina to 8 successful title defenses in her 351 days as champion, 1 behind her sister Hannah, who currently holds the record of 9. She's the second longest reigning champion, again, behind Utami Hayashishita at 409 days. But Matt, I thought both women did very, very well with this match.
I knew this was going to be good. I didn't know this was going to be this good because, again, you have Rina, who's like, 16, 17 years old. That's literally, she's got to be leading the match. 1, she's the heel. 2, she's the champion. 3, she's the vet. And 4, Sayaka Kurora is a rookie. So you wonder how well can she do at that. And she's been having some really great matches with this Future of Stardom Championship. That match she had with Ami Sourei to win it, that was great. But Ami Sourei is obviously in a completely, what she's been able to do the last 6 months, she's really getting closer to that main event level. The match she had with Miyu Amasaki, I thought was fantastic. She's been having some really, really good matches with this Future of Stardom Championship. Literally the point where if you're going on quality, that it's like her and Hanan are like 1 and 2. I don't know if anybody's gonna be able to surpass that 15-minute draw with Hanan and Tomoka Inaba. That's one of the best Future Stardom Championship matches. That was one of the best Future Stardom Championship matches that belt's ever had. But she's having great stuff, and this was really good to the point where I think me and you both kind of had it a lock that we're gonna, Sayaka Kurora, she's not there yet. Maybe in 6-7 months she will be, and Rina's doing a great job. But there was a few quick pinfall attempts where I thought like maybe they would shock you, which was great on Rina, great on Sayaka Kurora, and great on the referee. Just ever coming so close on that 2.99. There's a couple times like when Sayaka Kurora was able to get out of the Pink Devil. I thought that was good. Then the first time Rina goes for the double knee bomb off the top rope for the roll up, I thought that was a really good falsie. Then obviously Sayaka Kurora, when she does the springboard arm drag and the spear, another really good falsie. But ultimately, though, it was the double knee bomb for the 3 count that was able to put this one away. Great way to start, which is ultimately a great show. I had this one at 3 3/4 stars.
Yeah, I thought this was great. There was one falsie in particular, which was an inside cradle from Sayaka Kurora that I legitimately bit on. But yeah, I think Rina has grown so much as champion. And pardon me, Justin says she's an A+ trash talker. And that's one of my favorite interactions is when she challenged Unagi for the Future of Stardom belt. She just kept calling her a crappy old lady. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, I think Sayaka Kurora did a fantastic job. We were bigging her up before because of the work she was doing on the Stardom World shows that we were talking about last week. Really, really coming into her own as a member of Cosmic Angels. We were wondering how the spear was going to come off because that's sort of her big move. And that really came off really, really well. She was adapting. She was innovating other bits of offense as well. She added like a sliced bread almost into her arsenal, which was really cool. Rina, though, at the moment is untouchable as Future of Stardom champ. Where we go next, I'm not entirely sure. I do think that it will ultimately be Hina who takes the belt off her, and that makes perfect sense, especially as she's the only one in that family not to hold the belt, which I imagine is incredibly awkward over Christmas dinner. What I would love to see, though, and this is perhaps just me being a little bit harsh, I'd love to see Hina go for it and lose the first time and then go back and win it afterwards, just to really compound that I'm the only one in this family that hasn't won the belt. I imagine she would have already won it, but I think she's been injured. She was in a sling not long ago, we saw. So I'm wondering if, because they did tease Hina versus Rina, didn't they, not long ago? But obviously then we saw her when, I believe when Saya came back. Was it when Saya came back and she was in a sling?
When the Utami last Queen's Quest match, that was like the 5-on-5 against Oedo Tai. She came out in the entrance in a sling, and Utami made mention in the post-match promo. She was very adamant that Hina, even though she can't compete, needed to be there. I could be wrong, but I believe that after Rina had the successful title defense against Miyu Amasaki, that Hina came out and challenged her right afterwards. I think that's when it was. And I don't know when she got injured. I mean, it could have happened in training because I don't remember happening in a match, and I could be wrong. Could have happened in training. That happens all the time. And it's a little sidebar. I just noticed I'm wearing this fancy new Saya Kamatani long sleeve shirt. I just noticed, Rob. I went to go cover my mouth to hiccup, and there's this fancy little Queen's Quest logo here. Look at that.
Look at that.
So
Look at that.
fashionable. I don't know if I don't know if
mean,
the wife's gonna. I don't know if she's gonna let me wear this at the church dance later, but we'll see. You know.
Oh, she will, absolutely. Especially if you enter the church like Saya Kamatani just. That's how you've got to enter the church. If you don't, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Because I'm telling you, I did it. She's too busy.
Yeah. She was definitely in a sling. Hendricks, she's been out since the beginning of January with a collarbone injury. There you go. So yeah, I think overall there's no need to take the belt off Rena at all, especially with the reintroduction of New Blood shows in June. I believe the next one is in Tokyo. So there's no reason. Keep Rena on top until Hina's fit, and then put the belt on Hina. But until then, keep having her wrestle these really good matches, elevating these rookies, because you've still got Rani Yagami, who can have a go at the future belt. You've still got Aya Sakura, who can have a go at the future belt. You can go back to Hanako. You can go back to all sorts of people in the meantime. I was going to say Miyu Amasaki, but for me, Miyu Amasaki needs to be elsewhere, because in that tag match, Jesus, I thought she was absolutely tremendous. We then had a video package that sort of ran through Stardom's calendar, which is understandably hectic. We've got that show in Fukuoka that we talked about at the end of Golden Week, which at the moment is just called Golden Week Fight Tour in Fukuoka. That's going to be in Acros, Fukuoka. We already have one match that is confirmed for that, and potentially another one as well. That's Sunday, the 5th of May. We've then got a show in June as well, the 22nd of June, Stardom The Conversion. That's going to be in Yoyogi National Stadium, second gymnasium in Tokyo. We've then obviously got the start of the 5-star in August. They did advertise 2 shows in July, the Sapporo shows. They're doing 2 back-to-back shows in Sapporo at the end of July. We've then got, like I say, the 5-star Grand Prix. That starts on the 10th of August at the Yokohama Budokan, and then finishes on the 31st of August in Musashino Forest Sports Plaza. They also teased, but I didn't quite catch the name of it, they are going back to the Edion Arena Osaka as well in September. So that gives us a big chunk of shows to look forward to. I did miss out actually at the end of, or in the middle, sorry, of May, 18th of May, Stardom Flashing Champions 2024, and that's going to be from the Yokohama Budokan as well. So we've got a lot of shows coming up, and not just in Golden Week. So that's all things that we can look forward to. We moved on then to a 6-woman tag match, the return of Konami to full-time Stardom competition. By God, how we have missed her. So the God's Eye team of Shiori Konami and Ami Sourei defeated the EXV team of Xena, Waka Tsukiyama, and Hanako. Konami submitting Waka with the Triangle Lancer, which, as we all know, is 100% in 11 minutes and 49 seconds. You noted on Twitter, mate, that coming out to Konami's music was a lovely little touch, and I could not agree more. She was made to feel like the centerpiece of this match, and what was otherwise not a throwaway 6-woman tag, that's disrespectful to everyone in this match, but one with lesser stakes than the others. It made Konami the centerpiece of that match, which in turn made it feel far more special.
Yeah, when Konami's music hit, I was like, oh, they get individual entrances? It's kind of weird for kind of an undercard 6-person match, and then they all came out. Consider the fact that Sherry's one of the main eventers. She's the leader of this faction, and let's call it like we see it. She's got some phenomenal badass music. I mean, when that music hits, it's like, it's on. Someone's about to get their ass kicked. But I thought that was a nice little cue there. They did make her the centerpiece, and they did in this match as well. Obviously, Ami Sourei was terrific, as well as Shuri. Hanako, there were some really good, awesome spots with Hanako and Ami Sourei having a tackle off. Reminded me a lot of the Himeka versus Utami stuff from the 5-star Grand Prix a few years ago. But the one match that I didn't know that I wanted, that now that I need to see, is a one-on-one match with Xena and Konami, because they were.
I knew that was the thing you were going to say.
Yeah, they were lightning into each other. And as we said on the preview show, we knew not only who was going to win this match, but how it was going to happen. And considering the fact that how terrible our predictions were last year for this show that we were able to get this one absolutely right. As
Yep.
Waka Poor Waka, we love her, but Poor Waka, she is submitted to the Triangle Answer from Konami. Yeah, really good stuff. Like I said, everybody played their part really well, but hopefully somewhere down the line we get Xena versus Konami in a singles match, maybe at the 5-Star Grand Prix this year if they're in the same block. Because obviously the 5-Star Grand Prix is going to look a lot different than the previous years because you're going to have some, no pun intended, new blood in there. And Xena with some new gear. I thought she looked absolutely fantastic. She's tremendous in the ring and is basically kind of upping her game with the new gear as well. So really good stuff. Ultimately, this is something that it's when people look back on it, they'll remember it for the exchanges with Konami and Xena. I have this at 3.5 stars.
See, for me, it wasn't even the Konami and Xena exchanges. It was the Amisori and Xena exchanges. Because for someone who has been built around their chops recently, as Amisori has, she was coming out on the losing end of those exchanges with Xena, who we've commented before has really, really deceptively heavy hands. Those chops were ringing around Yokohama Buntai. I was thinking about Konami, and obviously we are sort of slowly closing in on 5-Star Grand Prix season. And Stardom somehow, obviously, we don't know how big this field is going to be, whether it's going to remain a 20-person field or whether they're going to extend or whether they're going to narrow it down. Obviously, we've got to find replacements for Utami, for Julia, for Mirai. And that is without injuries or anything like that. Now, for me, Konami is a shoo-in. Konami has to be in there. For me, I'd love to see Xena in there. I think Xena has done more than enough to get a place in that 5-Star Grand Prix. And I think, similar to how Mariah May did last year, I think she can really shine having that extended singles run. And I think, matches against the likes of Natsupoi, I think could be really, really good. Natsupoi has proved that she's fantastic against someone who, well, she's fantastic anyway because she's the murder pixie and she's brilliant. But against someone who provides that base for her, I think Xena will be brilliant. Julie's charisma, I didn't watch it because I was too exhausted. Don't blame you. Don't blame you at all. But I would love to see Xena in this 5-Star Grand Prix lineup. And I think as well, because they're putting such a focus on EXV, I think that's something that we can see. And there's obviously another return as well of someone later on in the show who Karen's already beaten me to it. God, Tekla needs to be in the 5-Star Grand Prix because, oh my God, on a show where so many people felt like stars, oh my God, did Tekla look amazing. She came out and looked like a badass, like dressed like a badass, acted like a badass, was a badass, and then cut a badass promo. In fact, and this is no disrespect to Natsukatora, I want Tekla as the leader of a Wedatai. Just putting that out there.
Whoa. He's shooting, folks. He's shooting. Karen, back him up. Yeah, if you remember, Tekla was supposed to be in the 2022 5-Star Grand Prix, which, again, the best Grand Prix ever. And then she got injured and she was replaced, I believe, with Momo Kogo. So, and then because they had the shortened field last year, she didn't get that opportunity. With 5-Star season coming up just around the corner, the fact that she was and we're going to talk about in a minute here, the fact she was reintroduced in a big way, I'd be shocked if she's not in this year's 5-Star Grand Prix.
Oh God, she's. I said Konami's a shoe-in. Tekla's even more of a shoe-in. I personally blame Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd because she was hanging out with them and all of a sudden she's gone Dark Tekla. I genuinely think it's their fault. But I do like the idea. I know I'm in the minority in liking David Finlay as the leader of Bullet Club. I like the War Dogs faction, how they're just unhinged. I really like that. And I think Tekla could be that sort of... Even though Oedetai heals, sometimes they come across as lovable heals or ineffective heals. They've sort of lost that edge. And I think within Boo David Finlay, Justin, come on. I think just in a couple of segments on this show, Oedetai suddenly felt like an absolute force to be reckoned with. And honestly, like, well done, Tekla, because let's be perfectly honest, while she was in Donna Del Mondo, she was second or third fiddle to Julia. She was in Julia's shadow. However, now, unshackled with the opportunity to do something really, really good that she's clearly suited for, I think she's doing gonna do fantastic work. And who knew that blonde Tekla was a thing? It's a thing of nightmares, but it is a thing. She genuinely looks like she would kill you, wear your skin as a lampshade, but it doesn't matter because she's awesome. And like I said, she's a punk rock musician, an artist, a wrestler, and bilingual. I would challenge you to find me a more talented person on that Stardom roster. It is a look the save. You're absolutely right. Let's move on. Jesus. So we move on to the four-way, the high-speed championship four-way, and this was a double-edged sword for me. But Saya Kamatani, Matt, you called it, my friend. Saya Kamatani becomes the 26th high-speed champion, defeating Saki Kashima, the 25th champion, Saya Ida, and Fukigen Death in 11 minutes and 49 seconds, ending Saki Kashima's reign at just 23 days, condemning her to history as the third shortest reigning high-speed champion and one of only 4 people in the lineage to lose the belt without defending it successfully. However, there is an enormous asterisk on this match because, let's be honest, I'm amazed she even made it to the ring. We mentioned on the Stardom World shows that she was really struggling to walk. We weren't sure if it was sort of storyline or if she was legitimately injured. However, it looks like she is seriously injured because she did very little in this match. What she did do, she looked like she was in extreme pain. So absolute credit to Saki for powering through and managing to make it entertaining at the same time. Credit to Saya Kamatani and to Saya Ida especially for really making a compelling match. Saya Kamatani is high-speed champion, we'll talk about in a moment, because I think that's a really, really cool way to go with this belt. But all our best wishes go to Saki. You could actually see all the padding she got around her heel. And obviously we don't know what has happened to Saki. We don't know what the injury is at the moment, but as someone who has been friends with someone who's broken their heel, that's sort of what it looks like. I'm really hoping that's not the case, but the padding was only around the heel. She couldn't put any weight on it. That's sort of what it looks like. And if that's the case, I'm heartbroken for Saki. I really am.
Yeah, that's what it could be, where she can kind of just get around a little. Hopefully now she's able to go home, rest it, and then get back when she gets back. And considering the fact that she's in a faction, when she gets back, she can have 6 persons, 8 persons to kind of work around it. That's what did look like a year and a half ago when I foolishly jumped off the top rope into the 3rd row that didn't have a barricade. I came down on my heel.
And then because Azumi.
Yeah, I really did. And then because I don't like canceling on shows the people that I give my commitment for, I wind up wrestling all my commitments for the next 2 months and literally couldn't walk. So kudos to Andy Hedder for literally carrying me through so many matches. And then I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm completely done until, I fully rested. So this is something that may take 4 months, 6 months for her to heal up before she gets walking. So that's what it really looked like. Fukigen Death played her role very well here, but this was a glorified singles match between Saya Ida and Saya Kamatani. And again, I don't know if we've ever seen a real proper Saya Ida versus Saya Kamatani singles match, especially in the last few years, since Saya Ida has been working way up the ladder and Saya Kamatani is definitely a main eventer and probably, the future ace of this new regime of Stardom. Because this was a great match between the two. And every now and again, the clown would come in there and just, make you wonder, like, you never know with that roll up. And then towards the end of the match, Saki Kashima comes in and Kisha Kasai's everybody. And you're like, are they going to go this way? Because it's the most devastating finish in all of wrestling. Eventually,
Absolutely.
they get rid of Saya Kamatani or Saki Kashima. And then Saida is on the outside, and the clown goes to roll up Saya Kamatani. I'm like, uh-oh, is this where they're going with this? But eventually Saya rolls through, hits the Hurricane, is able to keep her down for the pin. I thought it was an entertaining match the way they were able to work it. Again, they were able to keep Saki Kashima out of the ring and put her in the ring just for the parts where you were really on the edge of your seat to see what's going to happen. I need a Saya versus Saya match as well as a Konami versus Xena match. I do want to make mention of some of the gear. Saya Ida, we saw her on the last Stardom World show throwing her jacket into the rafters. Now, obviously, it's a pay-per-view, so she has like the big monster thing or whatever. She was struggling to get that thing up.
It was very reminiscent of Chihiro Hashimoto's costume when she came out in what looked like a big Cookie Monster costume. It did look, yeah, she'd have had a hard time getting that stuck in the rafters, to be fair, Matt. Jesus.
Well, she was trying to get it off. It looked like she was struggling with it. I'm like, poor Saida with just these with these jackets. Which is this is a very simple way to rectify the situation. Stardom just put out a really cool Saida shirt. Let her wear that to the ring. Sell some merch. Get a little merch money. She can autograph it, take it off, and give it to a fan. Boom, there you go. It's much easier than these jackets getting stuck or she can't get them. Saya Kamatani, the red girl, looked fantastic. I thought she looked terrific here. She had the green robe, and then she had the red gear underneath, red and green. Christmas, my favorite holiday. Saya Kamatani, one of my favorite wrestlers. Also wearing the red because, I think we're getting ready for a big, long red belt run maybe in the next year. And then, in my opinion, paying an homage to her best friend and former tag partner and won the Red Queen in Utami Hayashisa. So there's a lot of symbolism there with one Saya Kamatani. Ultimately, it was a really good match that had Saya Kamatani get the win. And I made mention this on the show just the other day that it gives Saya something to do between now and the 5-star Grand Prix. And we may see a singles match with Saya Ida. We may, if Saki Kashima is healed up in a couple months, we may get that singles match there. You have a lot of opportunity with Saya Kamatani as the high-speed champion. As you go down the list, Rob, of the champions that are in this company right now, Micah as the red belt champion, phenomenal. You have Soriano as the white belt champion. Unbelievable what she's been able to do in the last few matches. Tag champions, Crazy Star. We have so much lined up with them. Artist Stardom champions. You have Mina, who's on AEW TV. Micah, who's your main champion. And Xena, who's terrific. And now you have Saya Kamatani, a proven main eventer. In my opinion, the best Wonderful Stardom champion of all time, who wrestles a high-speed style, is your high-speed champion. So you have great champions that can main event really any shows. And now with Stardom trying to do more live streaming of these Stardom World shows, we've seen them have title matches on these non-pay-per-view shows. You can put a Saya Kamatani versus Saya Ida on a KBS Hall show, stream it on Stardom World, and it'll sell more subscriptions. So I think this was really, really smart booking. I don't see her having this belt up until past the 5-star. I think I think May Sarah would probably win it back. That would be the way to go. But here's something else you can do, Rob. Why don't we do Saya Ida or Saya Kamatani versus Zumi for the high speed championship somewhere down the line? Yeah, exactly. The Queen's Quest, we respect, it's Queen's Quest versus Queen's Quest. We never really saw a proper match between the two of them. You put the high speed championship on there. I mean, that's going to be a fantastic match. There's a lot you can do with Saya Kamatani as the high-speed champion. Again, before she gets her big run in the 5-star Grand Prix. Whether she wins it or not, we know when it comes to that last day, she's going to be at least in contention to go to the finals.
Yeah, Akai Saya does hit slightly different. I do agree with Karen's sentiments, though. She does need to trim the matches back because she's been so used to working longer style matches as Wonder of Stardom champion. She does need to scale that back. However, we saw later on in the 4-way tag match where it was literally just a high-speed 4-way tag match. It was absolutely mental. But literally anyone in that match can challenge Saya for the high-speed championship. And you're absolutely right, Matt. Saya Kamatani has a high-speed offense. The way she wrestles actually suits the high-speed championship down to a T. And you look at who we could get, even if she only wears it until the end of the 5-star Grand Prix. Let's go to the end of the 5-star Grand Prix, the end of August. You've got Hazuki, you've got Koguma, you've got Mei Seiri, you've got Miyu Amasaki, you've got Momokogo even. You've got Sayurida, again, the rematch. There's so many areas that you can go. Natsupoi, Azumi, Starlight Kid. And I know that there's Azumi and Starlight Kid have said that they've graduated from that. Even so, you can quite easily bring them in for one match. Sure. Saya Kamatani against any of those would be perfect. And it's refreshing for her because she hasn't got to think about, the grind of selling. She hasn't got to think necessarily about really long, intricate stories. She can just hit her big moves in a quick setting, 9-10 minutes max, perfect matches. Okay, and that's what we want. I think that's perfect for Saya. Putting it on someone like a Saya Kamatani is great. She is a main eventer, you're absolutely right, but her style does lend itself to the high-speed belt. You're absolutely right. Plus, if we can use this, you mentioned Mei Seira taking the belt off her. I kind of want Sayurida to do it. Why not use this as an opportunity to have Saya Ida defeat a certified main eventer in Saya Kamatani and then take that high-speed belt. Not only does she then get a singles championship, but she's beaten a bona fide main eventer. They already seem to be pushing Saya Ida. Thank you, Stardom. So why not continue that build? Obviously, not everyone can be white belt champion. Not everyone can be red belt champion. Not everyone can challenge all the time. However, Saya Ida should be the person to dethrone Saya Kamatani. Clip that. Yes, that is what should happen. Saya Ida should be the 27th high-speed champion. I didn't know I needed that, and now I do, because you're absolutely right, Matt. In a match where Saya and Saya effectively had to cover for Saki, I think they did a tremendous job. Fukigen Death obviously did what she did. You can never count her out. It's a four-way match. You know, that O'Connor roll, the most dangerous move that is in the Kishkasai. Again, I feel like we just need to end this by saying, Saki Kashima, get better soon. Please don't wrestle any more matches. Wait until you are fit. Obviously, God's Eye, they've got Konami now, so they haven't got, we haven't got a massive shortage of God's Eye members. Go rest, heal up. One question before we move on, and I'm interested to know what the comments think as well. If Saki Kashima was 100% fit, does she lose the belt here? Would it have been a four-way?
I don't think it would have been a four-way, because if you remember, I think it was either Friday or Saturday, they made it look like it was going to be a singles match. And I think once they realized that she was a little beat up, that they were able to put Saya Ida and Fukigen Death in there to kind of masquerade it. I think that they were going to go with, I think they were going to go with Saya Kamatani anyway, because look what you're doing with the belt. You're going to do something very interesting with her for the next few months. Obviously, Saki Kashima is the low speed champion. She works a different style than obviously former high speed champions we've seen, Izumi, Natsupoi, Meisera, Starlight Kid. She's something different, but that only goes so far. I think we got enough out of that run in the first run. Then we got the big pop at the ECW arena because it was the first stardom match show in 5 years. And we had a title change. I think once that worn off its welcome, it's like, okay, we've kind of seen the shtick before. I think that we're gonna go to the Saya Kamatani way and then get that belt back up to something of a main event level by putting on such a huge star that is Saya Kamatani.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be perfectly honest, Red Gear Saya hit differently. However, there's still one gear that hit harder, and we are going to talk about that later, and you can probably imagine where I'm going with that. We move on then to the next match on the card, which was a singles match. Mina Shirakawa defeating Natsuko Tora via a disqualification, although some sites are listing this as no contest. Some sites are listing this as a Mina Shirakawa victory via disqualification. Either way, the match ended in 9 minutes and 32 seconds. And I think we can agree that even though Mina and Natsuko Tora had very good chemistry, it was a fairly good match, the match was there as a vehicle for Tekla's return. And I think that's the big thing to come out of this. And actually, something that I did need to say, and something I don't think I articulated before, Tekla, as I said before, was always in Julia's shadow, but it's amazing what a bit of time away, just a subtle change can do, because she came back and good God, did she feel like a star. And I'm not talking, it wasn't like, a huge debut where she had the pyro and the robe and everything like that. She just had an aura about her, a confidence about her, and her in a wear tie just fits. And I'm really, really excited to see where this new Aweda tie goes, especially if they're going to be this harder edged Aweda tie as well. I'm very, very, very excited, because you think about the way Momo has been attacking matches recently. And we've actually been commenting about how Momo has had a real, again, edge to her over the last couple of weeks. Channeling that, you've got Tora, you've got Tekla. Suddenly that top three in a Aweda tie is absolutely terrifying, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I had this as a Mina Shirakawa DQ win. How would this go to a no contest when every member of Aweda Tai came in using weapons on Mina? And before there was a little bit of a save with Rana and Hanako. So that's what I have it listed. Yeah, it was really good. It was simple strategy, simple psychology. What this is ultimately remembered for is the post-match angle. So they had a good match, the
Mhm.
Oedo Tai interference to begin. Eventually, Mina weathers the storm. She starts the leg work on Tora. They throw down. She goes back to the leg work. She puts Tora in the figure four. Ref gets distracted. She gets misted. Chaos happens. Weapons come in. Then Tekla comes down to the ring. And I don't know if you saw this, but it was like 2 or 3 days ago. They added Tekla to the website under the
Yep.
EXV roster. And I
Yes, they
thought that
did.
was weird. And I was like, oh, here she comes for the save. But when she was coming, she was walking so slow. I'm like, not for nothing. Me and you were hanging out and somebody's beating up you. And I'm like, I'll get there when I get there. You know, I'm a safe route. It was like she was just taking her. It was like she was taking her time. Like, I don't know if you saw that. It was the one WrestleCon they did. I think it was in New Orleans where Spike Dudley's getting beat up. And all of a sudden the Sandman's music hits, and you know the Sandman's making the save, but he does the whole 5 minutes and 45 second Sandman entrance.
Beers by the time.
He's having like 6 or 7. Like, I'll get there when I get Spike's just getting beat up. It's like, come and sit. So that's the way, like, once I saw Tekla, I'm like, oh, here she comes for the save because she was on, you know, someone must have messed up and put it on the website a few days earlier. But I'm like, oh, I see what they did. They button hooked.
Yeah.
By the time Tekla got in the ring, because I could tell by her demeanor, her entrance, it was like, okay, no, she's turning. And this makes perfect sense to go to Oedo Tai. And Rob, we used to joke all the time on the podcast that Oedo Tai's got 4,058 members. But in reality, if you pull back the curtain, they have not had anybody new join Oedo Tai since the end of 2021 when Momo Watanabe defected. And I know between the end of 2020 and 2021, they had obviously Momo was the big one, Starlight Kid. They had, you know, Fukin Death, I think, for Waka. There's a lot of newer members that came in that year. And then for, you know, the better part of 2.5 years, it kind of halted. So I'm like, okay, this is going to shake up Oedo Tai. And considering the fact that we have Momo in the main event, you're doing something with the only true heel faction in the company. And kudos to the booking of Stardom because you built up Momo, you built up Ruwaka in the Cinderella tournament. They're doing a great job with the big bad heel faction as far as booking goes with the Oedo Tai. And again, with all the cheating, it's not the House of Torture stuff where it's constantly in front of the ref and it goes on forever and ever, and it's boring and nobody's over, where it's like Momo's over, Tora's over, Starlight Kid's over. Starlight Kid's over in a different way, which we'll get to, which we've been calling for about 6 months. But now you're adding Tekla into this mix. She cuts a great promo in the ring. She cuts a great promo backstage. And now this is somebody you can introduce, get Tekla on a roll. And maybe she goes after Sai Kamatani for the high-speed championship. Maybe in the 5-star, if Soriano is still the champion, she beats Soriano. And then we see Tekla versus Soriano for the Wonder of Stardom championship. This is somebody you can get her hot, where you can challenge for one of those 2 belts, or you can put her something for the artist belts, or her and Tora make a run against Crazy Star for the goddess belts. There's a lot that you can, or Momo, there's a lot that you can do with her. You can insert her into a lot of different things because she's somebody now with the doors opening up for Stardom all over the world. She can communicate in a whole bunch of different languages. So don't be shocked if you see her over on an AEW or over on a Ring of Honor or somebody, you know, if GCW does something with Stardom, like how they did with Utami, I can see her somebody that's going to be wrestling quite a bit that they're going to want to lean on because she doesn't have that language barrier like some of the other girls in Stardom. So yeah, and again, it's kind of, you know, how can I miss you if you don't go away? She went away. We're waiting for her to come back. She come back and does on a huge angle on this big show. Yeah, really good stuff. The match was okay, 3.5 stars. They worked real well together, but ultimately it's going to be led for this post-match angle. And here's something else too you have to think, partner. It looks like if they're going to do this right, she's going to be feuding with Mina right off the bat. Why wouldn't she? She attacked Mina. Why wouldn't Mina go after her? And Mina is one of the biggest stars they have right now worldwide because of all the exposure she's been getting on AEW TV and the mention. So again, that's a heck of a rub for Tekla, who hasn't been seen since the beginning of the year, turned heel and attacks their big worldwide star that just a couple days ago was on AEW. And I think I got the ratings. I think her segment was like 770,000 people watched that. So more than 3/4 of a million people watched me. So a lot of people know who Mina is, and she gets beat up by Tekla here. That might be the first feud that where they go to. As great as Mina is and as over she is, you don't have the baby face squash the heel that just turned heel coming back. You build towards it. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Tekla to get some big wins over Mina leading up to whatever big match they'll have. So really interesting stuff. And again, the booking of this new Stardom regime is really throwing a lot of curveballs, but in a really good way that we don't see coming. And we'll get into the next angle from Oedo Tai because this is a lot of Oedo Tai heavy angle stuff here, partner.
They did, and it really freshened Oedo Tai up in a better way, to be perfectly honest. For me, she needs to go after Mina. She did a post-match where she talked about how she wanted to eradicate idol culture in Stardom, and I think she name-dropped Mina Shirakawa. I know she name-dropped Natsupoi, and I think she name-dropped Tam as well. So it makes perfect sense to go after Mina. I wouldn't have, aside from the artist belt, because Mina currently holds the artist belt, and I think it would destroy Mina to then lose that belt. I wouldn't have Tekla go for a belt. I'd just have Tekla going after those idols like a hitman and literally ticking them off one by one. Right, I've destroyed Mina Shirakawa. Let's go after Natsupoi. Right, I've destroyed Natsupoi. Let's go after Tam Nakano. And that's literally what I'd have her do, especially to start off with. The one thing I don't want them to do, and this is something I think they were guilty with when Momo Watanabe turned heel, don't let it fizzle out. Don't not capitalize on it. That's the big thing. Yes, Tekla Idol Hunter. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Karen. Yeah, I just don't want to.
If you remember, I called Saya Ida the idol killer last week on the show because of what the beating she put on Meltier. Tam. But that's what Karen called her, the idol hunter.
Yep, Tekla Idol Hunter.
Like the Gracie Hunter, like Sakuraba.
But yeah, Tekla's already made it very, very clear that she wants to basically not ruin Stardom, but sort of reshape Stardom, this new Stardom. And I think the best way of doing that isn't going for the title, because I don't think straight away she wins the title, and I don't want to lose him. The worst thing you can do now is have her eat a load of losses to babyfaces. What you do is you have her beat Mina, and that's how she gets the artist belt. And then she goes after other people. She goes after those idols. And that can be her storyline. Again, as I said earlier on the episode, not everyone can be champion. Not everyone can go after a belt. I wouldn't have her go after the high speed championship, because honestly, I just want her, when she eventually does go for those championships, we have been crying out, and this is no disrespect to Tora, although I do have a theory about Tora moving on. We've wanted that main event leader of Oedo Tai. And though Tora, especially recently, has done a good job, she's never felt like she is going to win the top prize. She's never felt like she is going to win the belt. She's gone for the white belt a couple of times against Julia, never felt like she was going to win. She's gone for the red belt a couple of times, never really felt like she was going to win. However, you build Tekla up, I genuinely think that she is capable of winning one of those top belts. And I think that is something that Oedo Tai has been crying out for. Plus, I would have Tora really embrace Tekla into this Oedo Tai group, and then I'd have Tekla throw Natsuko out.
Ooh.
And Karen's absolutely right. In 2021, sorry, Matt, I will bring you back on in a moment. Tora has always felt second fiddle to Starlight Kid and to Momo Watanabe. Like, I know that she's the centerpiece. She's got the metal pipe. Her entrance garb, by the way, fantastic. Always loved Tora's entrance garb. However, she's never felt like the actual leader. Like, Starlight Kid's always been the face. Momo Watanabe's always been the better wrestler. Let's not mince our words. The better wrestler. So what has Tora had? She's inherited the mist from Kagetsu. Okay. But she hasn't had the aura and the charisma that a Kagetsu had. However, why not have Tekla join, embrace her, really keep her close, and then have Tekla go, do you know what? No. And then turn on her, throw her out, and literally take the leadership of Oedo Tai by force. That's literally what she wants to do. Shape Stardom. Why not have her do that? I think it would be perfect.
What I was going to say is stuff you just touched upon. I think one of the reasons why, or two of the reasons why she hasn't felt like the leaders, because Starlight Kid and Momo are and this is no disrespect to her, it's because of Momo and Starlight Kid are such phenomenal wrestlers. And not only that, but who did Tora replace as the leader of Oedo Tai? Kagetsu, the best working heel in the history of the company. So that's a big hill to climb. Again, she got a little bit of a role, got hurt. She was out 15, 16 months. Starlight Kid and Momo come in, and they're Starlight and Momo, or Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe come in. I mean, it's Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe. She comes back, takes a little bit to kind of get the wheels going. They did a great job building her up in the 5-star Grand Prix last year. Really came out as a true badass. But Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens now because I think they're doing great stuff with Natsuko Tora now, especially looks like with Momo on her way down. But I don't know if they can get Tora that hot the way that they got Momo that hot for this match that ultimately drew almost 3,000 fans.
Yeah, agreed. Let's move on then to the special tag match with Aja Kong and Kyoto Ito defeating Melty, Tam Nakano, and Natsupoi in 16 minutes and 59 seconds in a match that had absolutely no right being as entertaining as it was. I think for a start, Kyoto Ito looked light years better than she did last year when she was under the Zap guys. I thought she was infinitely better here, moved better. There was a couple of clunky moments, but again, you know, she's in her 50s. I'd be amazed if there wasn't. I think the Aja Kong chemistry with Tam was fantastic. I thought Natsupoi especially bumped her ass off, which we knew she would. And I think Kaoru Ito might have delivered the most rancid double foot stomp I've ever seen in my life. That double foot stomp at the end where she went through Natsupoi, I genuinely thought, that's it, Natsupoi's never getting up again. She has actually murdered the murder pixie. But thank God she did get up. But yeah, absolutely. The only thing, and this stopped this match being a 3 3/4 match, 3 3/4 star match, and made it a -3 star match. No spinning back fist, no Hurricane. What the hell, Matt Turner? Who is booking this? That's it. End of the Stardom cast. No, I refuse. It's the one thing I was looking forward to in this match, Matt, was Natsupoi Tam eating a Hurricane, and it didn't happen. However, all seriousness, I thought this match was better than I had middling expectations for this match. You know, Aja Kong, Joshi royalty. We talked about it on the preview. However, she's in her 50s, nearing the end of her career. Basically, it's a case of gets in, does the stuff, gets out. Kyoto Ito, sorry, again, not the greatest sample size when she was wrestling as Zap with Dump Matsumoto last year. However, I thought was infinitely better here. And I thought Meltier did a fantastic job of knitting everything together during this match. I thought they were brilliant, deserve all the props in the world. And we are absolutely building to a Tam Nakano and Aja Kong singles match. There's no way that they are doing one match with the amount of stuff they did in this match. There's no way they're not doing a follow-up with Kong and Tam in the singles match.
Especially without hitting the back fist. No, I'm completely.
Exactly.
We thought we'd see it like two. We thought we'd see it like 2 or 3 times because, like, what else does Kong have left? Because she's given her body so much to professional wrestling. God bless her, still getting in there. But it's almost like some of these Stan Hansen matches you'd watch in all Japan in the late 80s, early 90s. You're just waiting for the lariat, and then you didn't get it, and you're like, it's still a damn good match. And this match was a damn good match. When Ito hit that double stomp on Natsupoi, I can't confirm or deny, but from what I understand, Azumi was in the back going, "God damn, kid, what else? You know, you're stealing my stuff. What am I gonna do?" Well, that's my gimmick is double stomping somebody through the ring. There was about a good 2 seconds where I thought Natsupoi was legit hurt the way that she sold up. Like when she sat up and the camera caught her perfect. And again, kudos to the cameraman over at Stardom because their cuts and everything were perfect. Again,
they were brilliant throughout the show. Yeah.
It was great. They added so much to what was already a fantastic show. It was sometimes when you have this great roster putting on great matches and then you have great production, you have great entrances, you have the great video wall, just keeps adding and adding to make it what was one of the best wrestling shows I've seen all year. I'm going to go on an easy limb here and saying that my star rating for this match may be higher than anybody's because of the extra work everybody put in. Again, we know that this is an attraction match. It's Andre and Hulk. It's not going to be Steamboat and Savage. It's going to be something that's going to draw tickets. And where are we building towards here? We knew Meltier was going to bump their ass and did. And then they added all the little cute stuff that they did. And then Aja Kong's like, I'm not having it. And Aja was great. Aja Kong took a German suplex off the second rope. What the hell? What the hell they're doing? Superplexes. They did a really cool dive spot. Oh, you know it, Karen.
100% what it is, Karen. 100%. It's the equivalent of 7 stars in the Tokyo Dome.
It's Meltier bias as well. So, Meltier came out to the third track on their album.
You even know the track listing. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Absolutely. They came out to Tear Tail. So that was
Oh my God, you know the names.
Of course. Rob, I consider myself a professional. I do my homework not only with the matches, but with the music as well. The reason why we're the best
Oh
podcast out there, brother.
God.
There's a reason why. Because I do my due diligence, damn it. Anywho, they did all the comedy stuff.
Oh,
I popped this guy. I popped him. He's only half a beer in. So he says. Everybody worked really hard. Again, she's taking German suplexes. There's that one spot. I knew she wasn't going to take it like how Mayu would take it, but they did the super kick into the Tiger suplex spot. And God bless Kong, she did everything she could to try to get over. It was like, she kind of took it on her shoulders. Like, damn, she's like taking these crazy bumps. Ito's taking the bumps. They did that really cool spot where Natsupoi goes to do the dive, and the Joshi Legends catch Natsupoi, and then Tam comes over and bowls all them over. Then they get back in the ring, and Tam hits the knee off the top rope, and the Natsupoi hits the Feo gift. I was like, man, this match is so good, and I know we only got it once, and we may never see it again. And obviously, Meltier, they don't team up that much because of Natsupoi and Tam are both main eventers. Aphrodite, they didn't team up as much as we would like because of Saya and Utami's main eventers. We did get it on the final night of the 2022 5-Star Grand Prix, or Goddess Star Tag League. Man, I would have loved to seen a Meltier versus Aphrodite 20-some-odd minute match for the Goddess Star, because it's just like you're just watching these two. They're so darn good. And their first tag match that they had in a while was that match against Wingor, and you're like, it's one of the best tag matches I've seen all year in all of wrestling. It wasn't even on a pay-per-view. These two are just absolutely fantastic. I wasn't shocked that Aja Kong got the pin, but the fact she got it on Tam and didn't hit the back fist was like, I think we're building towards something. Miss Karen Peterson, get ready to hit that send button, because here comes my star rating. You want to shut the podcast down, Rob? We're going to shut the podcast down. 4.25 stars. I absolutely love this. There it is. She had that ready. 4.25 stars. You have to put in the effort of all four ladies. And again, Kong taking a German suplex off the second rope. And again, Melter, I thought looked great here. That was. It sounds like Tekla needs to take that out too, because he's turning Idol fan. I never watched American Idol, if that's what you mean.
Right. I will say.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I will say it was far better than it had any right to be. And credit to Kong and credit to Kaoru Ito for taking the bumps that they did. There was some brutish suplexes in this match. There was one in particular when Kong and Ito ran Meltier into each other, and you could see Natsupoi proper cracked her head into Tam. And then they did these T-bone suplexes that were absolutely grotesque. They really, really were. You're absolutely right. I think all four women did a fantastic job. 4.25 stars is a bit high, I think, but obviously we've got to factor in your massive Tam love. I do think we are building something. Oh, you are so kawaii. You're so kawaii. I do think we are building towards something. I think this was the perfect attraction match for this show. I think it exceeded all of my expectations. I gave it 3.75 stars. I think Kong still now just the opening exchanges where Tam is belting her as hard as she possibly can in a leg. And Aja Kong has chewing gum in and it's just going... like some Joshi Royal John Moxley, just incredible. Just the dismissive nature of those opening exchanges was just everything I could possibly want. And obviously, we've actually watched for the Patreon recently Aja Kong versus Meiko Satomura back from 1999. And obviously, that is Kong at her Imperious best. And though this wasn't that, the fact that she's still able to bring some of that charisma, and, you know, again, she is in her 50s. She is going to have some shortcomings. That's just unfortunately how age works. However, I still feel like she's got enough about her, enough in-ring experience to cover for that. And I think she did a fantastic job of that. She's throwing out top rope falling elbow drops. Like, I don't know about you, but that would just disintegrate my body. I'd just be like just a pile of dust. As I would be, to be fair. Like, honestly, I think I'm going to get PTSD from that double foot stomp from Ito, because genuinely I'm concerned that she's just shattered all of Natsupoi's insides. Honestly, it was the most, like, we saw some in Mayu and Sari that were gross, but this, oh my god, like she just landed, and there were some, and again, Matt, please, you are possibly, well, not possibly, you are far more qualified to draw back the curtain than I am. But I get the impression that when you are doing a double foot stomp, in order to alleviate some of the pressure, you don't lock your knees. You sort of try and sort of hit but fall at the same time. You don't lock your knees because that's going to be incredibly painful. However, Ito didn't just lock her knees. She basically just stood right in the middle of Natsupoi and stayed there. And it was like, oh my God. Like, you know, the Simpsons gif where stop it, she's already dead. That was legitimately how I felt at that point. But honestly, I don't think there is a single person on that roster better suited to this match than Natsupoi. And credit to Tam as well, because I thought Tam was tremendous, especially in the exchanges with Kong. I was really, really unsure about how Ito would be in this match. Really unsure. And I think credit to her 100%, but credit to Natsupoi, who we've said before takes a beating like nobody else on this roster. There is not one person on this roster I would have put in this match over Natsupoi, because I think not only did she come out of this looking amazing, she made other people around her look amazing. And that's credit to her, because honestly, in terms of underrated people on this roster, Natsupoi has got to be right up there as one of the most underrated wrestlers in Stardom.
Yeah, she needs a big win since she came back. We waited for her to come back. She eats the loss here. She ate the loss with Sari. We'd like to see her now, considering the fact that she wants to challenge for the Wonder Belt. Like, if we go by wins and losses, like, we need a couple wins here. Maybe that's the whole Ami Sohrei thing coming in, where they get a little bit of steam behind her. But yeah, kind of, what wraps it to peel back the curtain. Usually when you do the double stomp, you want a couple different ways to keep it somewhat safe. Is when you do the double stomp, if you're not going to lock out your knees, you want to hit the top part of the chest, because that's where you would kind of flex up and you would take some of the weight out. Or you can do how Azumi does. It looks like she's going to absolutely crush you. But when Azumi goes to the stomach, she doesn't lock her knees all the way, where this was literally Ito just like, boom, just like a rock in an aquarium just came right down. And we know Natsupoi. I mean, that's what it was. It was like, boom, on poor Natsupoi. That might have been a Natsupoi's request. We know, just looking at Natsupoi, she's shredded. Yeah. She's got a really strong core. She wouldn't be able to throw those German suplexes at the 90 pounds that she is, or whatever it is, if she didn't have a strong core. So my guess was she just tightened up. She tightened up for life to kind of take some of that, and she sold it properly. Yeah, again, really good stuff. It looks like they're building to something up. We made mention that it looks like there's a couple of Yokohama Budokan shows. Maybe that's where we're going with Aja Khan, because I just don't see them putting Aja Khan in the 5-star Grand Prix. That's just me.
Oh my God, imagine. I unironically would absolutely love that. Just think about the matches we would get. Imagine Aja Khan versus Natsupoi against Saya Ida, against, oh my God, imagine Aja Kong versus Azumi. Just that moment that Azumi comes off the top rope and she just wipes her out with a hurricane. Oh my God, incredible. It did Justin Stein, and Matt, you are definitely more qualified. The Ito double stop like vintage Loki. Yes, it did. You're absolutely right.
The only thing Loki would do is like.
Did you ever wrestle Loki?
No, I did get kicked in the throat by him once. Would you like to hear this story?
Obviously, we would like to hear the story of when you got kicked in the throat by Loki.
They're doing an angle with the Rottweiler. The Rottweilers were Loki Homicide, Rocky Romero, and Ricky Reyes, and Julia Smokes. And I forget who they were beating on. And what they did is Gabe is like, we're going to send 3 different waves of people out to stop the beating. One would be the ROH trainees, and then would be like your Dunn and Marcos, your low card guys, and then it would be like Punk and Joe would eventually run them out. It's like, well, what do we do? Like, just slide in the ring and then they'll just beat you up. I'm like, okay, no problem. I had a really good relationship with Rocky Romero, Ricky Reyes, and Julius Smoke. So it's like, I know they're going to beat me up, and that's fine. But at least this way I know I'll be somewhat safe. And Homicide as well. So it's like, I think I'll be okay. Loki is always great to me. Very intense individual. So I slide into the ring, Rob, right? I'm glad we're doing this on a video podcast. I slide in the ring. When you slide in the ring, you get up this way, right? Because I slid in. I literally looked up this way like I was doing a push-up. When I went like this, Loki was right there, and I'm like, and he literally just kicked me where I fed right into my throat. I went out, I saw Julius Smokes come out with a shoe because he was beating everybody with a shoe, and I was like, "Nah, man, I'm good." And I rolled underneath the ring. And I think I told Dunn or Marcus from Dunn and Marcus, like, "Let me know when it's over." So I'm waiting. All of a sudden, you hear this big pop. I think, okay, that's, I know Punk and Joe were the last two to run them off. So I'm like, okay, that's my pop. I run out. I get out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm new. I'm not going to say anything to anybody. But he kicked me in my throat. I'm like, okay, I was able to get my breath back as I was hiding under the ring. I was scared to death. And Loki came over. He's like, hey, man, really good feed. Good stuff. I'm like, okay, thanks. Any questions, you just let me know. I was like, oh, okay, man, thanks. And I don't think I ate solid food for 4 or 5 days. But, yeah, so that's my one story at Loki. Again, very intense individual, great wrestler. Never had any issues with him. He kicked me in my throat and then was like, yeah, really good feed. I'm like, thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, that was thanks.
Thanks, no brother. Problem. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Amazing. Let's move on then to one of my favorite matches on this entire card, the 4-way tag team match for the Goddess of Stardom Championship, because genuinely, I think I'm still out of breath. Crazy Stars, Suzu Suzuki and Mei Seira, the champions, defeating FWC, Hazuki and Kogamo, Two-Line, Azumi and Miyu Amasaki, and the young Oeda Tai team of Ruaka and Starlight Kid in 11 minutes and 17 seconds to complete their second title defense. Matt, genuinely, this was absolute carnage from minute one. This was a high-speed match in every sense of the word. I thought everybody, without fail, looked fantastic, but good grief. Yes, you're absolutely right, Colin. Pin of the century right here. We need the name of that finish that Mei Seira brought out because it was incredible. So much so that it made Will Ospreay tweet out how good Stardom is. But legitimately, it made me remember just what a fantastic wrestler Koguma is. She's not just a comedy wrestler. She is a genuinely excellent in-ring competitor. I thought Miyu Amasaki looked really good in this. Suzu Suzuki, who you don't really think of as a high-speed wrestler, kept up in this match superbly well. But that high-speed opening with Mei Seira, Azumi, Starlight Kid, and Koguma, perfect. I have no idea what the rules were. I have no idea who was legal at what time, and I do not care. This was this is the quintessential that sometimes wrestling just needs to be fun. You put 4 fantastic teams in a ring, and this is what happens. I want to see O2 line more and more because Miyu Amasaki and Azumi are a fantastic team, and Miyu Amasaki is my early pick for most improved wrestler of this year. I think she's tremendous. FWC, we know, are challenging now in Fukuoka, which we both predicted would happen. Overall, this was incredibly fun. And then, of course, we had the angle. But before we get to that, Matt, what did you think about this match? By the way, I gave this 4.25 stars. Okay, Matt? Just so that you've got an idea of comparison.
Really? Oh, this one only broke 3 stars for me. No, this was
gentleman's
this
3.
was 4. Yeah, this was 4.5 for me. Yeah, this was great. And we made mention, like, this is going to be an absolute banger. It's going to set up, there it is, the checkmate. There you go. If anybody would know, it would be Karen Peterson. R-E-O.
Absolutely.
R-E-O, Karen. Thanks. Checkmate. That's one that I can remember. It's usually not some sort of crazy name that they like to meld together. I can probably remember that. Thanks, Karen, as always. And hello. We hope that you're well on this lovely Saturday that we're having. We knew it was going to be crazy. We knew it was going to have your high-speed offense. It's one thing to have, like, the 2 wrestlers doing high speed. It's another one when you have 3 people doing high speed, as long as one of those 3 people is Azumi or Starlight Kid. But in the beginning, you had 2 different sets of 4 people doing the high speed. And again, as a pro wrestler, I appreciate the style so much because you have timing, you have pacing, and you have ring positioning. If one person is off, it's the domino effect. That means somebody else is off, and then it doesn't look as good as it does. Stardom does this better than any wrestling company in the history of pro wrestling when it comes to these multi-person matches. And I made mention when we did the preview for this show. So there was a amount of people like, how come this isn't FWC versus Crazy Star? I'm like, I get it, but this is going to be, pun somewhat intended, crazy. Everybody got over. Everybody looked good. There was literally, like, I got to go back and watch this. For all the stuff that happened in this match, literally in my notes, it's a quarter of a page. I literally just every time I would look down to write something, the crowd would go nuts. You'd hear a bump, or the ring announce or the announce team would go nuts. I'm like, whatever. I mean, I can't write as fast as I do. This is a match that I'm definitely gonna have to go back and watch. Maybe sometime next week with the English commentary. But this was absolutely fantastic. Again, everybody looked good. So much really cool stuff. O2 line might have been the MVPs of this match,
Thought they
and
were fantastic.
obviously, yeah, literally to the point where it's just like it looked like they were gonna sneak away a win here. And then obviously Crazy Star gets the win with a checkmate. Thank you, Karen. And again, Suzu looked really good. May looked really good here. Now we're going to start getting, I mean, now let's get that, depending on what happens in Fukuoka, but let's get an O2 line tag team championship match. Let's get, what are we doing with Tam and Natsupoi? Obviously, we teased a little bit with Natsupoi, but if we're not putting Tam back up in the main event scene, and if we're not putting Natsupoi up into the white belt scene, let's get Meltier a little bit of a run, get them some wins, and then have them challenge, whether it's Crazy Star, FWC, or again, we're loading these Stardom World shows as of late because they're live stream. Give us O2 line versus Meltier in a straight up tag. Like, who wouldn't want to see that? That would be terrific. Again, I mean, the tag division, even without Aphrodite, not there anymore.
That's
The
the
tag
thing.
division, the tag division is so strong. Again, and then obviously we have Wingori waiting in the mix sometime soon. They're the New Blood champions. I would love to see them have some big matches here. This was terrific. I wish I could add more, but I just can't keep up with everything happened. I'm assuming everybody watching this stream saw this match. You know what I mean? Again, everything, the timing, the pacing, the dives, the fact that everybody knew where they needed to be, when they needed to be, because there's 8 people in this match, and if somebody missed their call and if somebody missed their cue by like 2 seconds, it would have thrown the whole entire match off. This match fit like a puzzle. Phenomenal tag match, one of the best tag matches I've seen all year, and it leads to the straight up tag that we're getting next month in May with FWC versus Crazy Star, which I can't wait. 4.5 stars for me, my friend. And then Oedo Tai played the blame game, didn't they, sir? They played the blame game.
They did play the blame game, and to be fair, they were justified in playing the blame game. When you live by the vegetable crate, you die by the vegetable crate, as Starlight Kid found out. This was an interesting angle because Starlight Kid, we've sort of been wondering if a face turn was coming, especially as she is one of, if not the biggest merch mover in Stardom. We know that Stardom are very, very, very high on Starlight Kid. We knew that it was only a matter of time before they turned her face again. I thought this was pretty well executed, if I'm being perfectly honest. Obviously, Starlight Kid looks to hit, I believe it's May Sarah with the vegetable crate. She reverses it, ends up smashing Ruaka in the head with it so that May Sarah can hit the checkmate. Thank you, Karen. And obviously then Oedo Tai turn and thus kick Starlight Kid out of Oedo Tai. It looks like the beatdown is going to continue when Tam, of all people, Tam Nakano, comes and saves Starlight Kid, stops the beatdown, and eventually takes her backstage. There's a lot to unpack from this. Obviously, we saw what feels like a couple of months ago now, Tam talking or whispering things into Starlight Kid's ear, and we were wondering what that was. We saw it again at the end of this, and then of course we saw the post-match interview backstage where Starlight Kid understandably says, "My head's a bit scrambled, I don't know what I'm going to do." Tam says we should fight together from tomorrow, which is a bit abrupt, but there we are. Now there's a couple of things to take from this. Obviously, this is the beginning of the push for Starlight Kid, which I'm all for. She's an incredible wrestler, was incredibly over in the US. I think is the perfect face of Stardom. I think a future white belt champion without a shadow of a doubt. Maybe even a future red belt champion. I've seen some people say this is where Starlight Kid's going to unmask. I still don't think that's going to be the case. I know that Starlight Kid is not particularly fond of wrestling in a mask, and she's come out in many interviews and said she's not particularly a fan of it. But when you are moving as much merch as you are, Stardom aren't going to want you to drop the mask. What I think is interesting is she has gone from the heel faction to the most babyface faction to ever babyface in Cosmic Angels. So we potentially have a disparity now between Starlight Kid being, I've just listened to 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge by My Chemical Romance for the first time and have just discovered cigarettes, to happy, smiley, dancy Starlight Kid. So are we going to see her just morph straight away, or are we going to see more of a journey? I really, really want to see sort of that unsure Starlight Kid before we see, happy dancing, Starlight Kid that we might see eventually. This also, if she does officially join Cosmic Angels, which we don't know at the moment, that the most overpowered faction in the entire of Stardom. Like Tam, Natsupoi, Sioriano, and Starlight Kid. Yes, the MCR reference, Hendrix. Like that's an incredibly high caliber. We're talking 2019 stars level of overpowered when they had Orisa and Tam and Mayu. I don't know how I feel about her going from heel to uber babyface. Obviously, we don't know the story. I think the turn is needed, especially if you want to push Starlight Kid, which I'm all the happier for. I think we need to push Starlight Kid. She's incredible. She's got nothing but upside. Would I have liked to have seen her maybe more of a tweener, maybe even team with Azumi, maybe in Queen's Quest? Maybe. However, I thought the angle was executed really, really well, Matt.
A lot to unpack here, my man. Mentioned with the mask. If she doesn't like wrestling with the mask, eventually you want to keep her happy. Maybe it's something she comes out with the mask and takes it off. Maybe does the Bret Hart and gives it to a kid. That's something because you can still sell the mask. You know what it
goes Tiger Mask too.
That you can just do something like that. We got a lot of inside information from our friends in Stardom, Robin. There's possible 3 things that Tam has said to Starlight Kid over past couple shows and this show. And I'm going to reveal those 3 right now, what they could possibly. Number 1 could be, if you head on over to Amazon.com, you can pick up your book of Chasing the Dream by my good friend Rob Goodwin. Now, I don't know if that's true or not.
Forward by Karen Peterson, by the way. Forward by Karen Peterson.
Forwarded by Karen Peterson, our good friend, R.E.O. Shirai of this podcast, the real GOAT, Karen Peterson. Absolutely. Or number 2 could have been, head over on to Amazon.com and pick up Living the Dream, 10th anniversary review by my good friend Rob Goodwin.
Relentless.
Or the third thing could have been, and this is what I think it really is, new episodes of the Stardom Cast drop every Friday or early and ad-free for our Patreon members for just $1,
yeah.
$1 a month.
Well done.
Again,
well done.
I can't confirm or deny. Now, I'll clean that up later. As I'm making a mess in my podcast room here. If you look at this new thing with Oedo Tai, who are the 2 members that they're going to be violent, vicious. They have, death metal, Tekla in there. Who are the 2 people that they kicked out over the last year? Saki Kashima, your comedy.
Look, what are you doing, mate? Jesus.
But he says buy him out like the bad guy, like Razor Ramon. Like, bad is cool. Like, is that what you mean?
I'm really hoping so. That's our Discord moderator right there.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Plug, if you're going to put that in there, at least put a link up there. Help the guy out. You know what I mean?
Help a brother.
Somebody get a link up there. Help a brother out. Who are the 2 members that Oedo Tai kicked out in the last year? Saki Kashima, more of the comedy wrestler, right? Not a very violent, vicious person. Starlight Kid. And we were at that Spark Joshi show where she was the most over person on that show that had Tam, Aja Kong, Mayu, and a lot of local wrestlers. So it's like, okay, if we're going to go full badass heel, this makes sense. What you do with Starlight Kid now is she's a hot commodity because now it's like, because she's such a merch mover and she's pretty much over as a babyface regardless. She's so great in the ring. There's a lot of different things you can do with her. Now we're going to see her feuding with Tekla, with Natsuko Tora, with Momo Watanabe, stuff like that, which is going to be really, really entertaining and exciting. Do you put her in Cosmic Angels? Because obviously that's the way it looks. But at the same time, you now have 4 main eventers in that group. And maybe this is just my Queen's Quest bias coming out, Rob. You need to fill that void by Utami. And again, you're not going to replace Utami, just like how you're never going to replace EO, you're never going to replace Kairi. You need to put another main eventer in there. So now does Surianu go over to Queen's Quest? That's a possibility. Do we get Suzu and Mei Sarah? Because they're still 2 wrestlers that don't have a home country. Do they go over to Queen's Quest? Or does Tam want to destroy Oedo Tai so much that the only faction that's had Oedo Tai's number in the last year is Queen's Quest, and is she trying to recruit to get Starlight Kid to go over to Queen's Quest where they can break down a Oedo Tai, or maybe the friend of my friend, or the enemy of my friend, whatever that saying is, the friend of my friend, or the enemy of my friend is my friend, whatever that saying is, where maybe they team up a little bit with Queen's Quest to help them kind of break down a Oedo Tai. I don't know. All those scenarios would be cool. All of them would draw money. A lot of people would get over, and it could be a long, drawn-out story that you can do for a few years. So ultimately, great match with another great angle that puts now Starlight Kid in the babyface role that we knew that she just needed, just that one little angle. There it is. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I was trying to remember from the Alien vs. Predator movie that I saw way, way long ago.
What a niche reference that is.
That's what I remember it. I get hit in the head a lot, folks. Get a lot of Momo Watanabe kicks to the head. But we knew for a year that it was just one angle away of making Starlight Kid a big baby face. Not only do they do it here, they do it in a great way. They're putting her with Tam. You made mention if Starlight Kid is not the biggest merch mover, she's 1A. If there's anybody that's above her, it's Tam. So now you're putting the two biggest merch movers together in some sort of way. The biggest show of the year, in front of almost 3,000 people, a show that everybody that's getting rave reviews, and you're getting a Oedo Tai over in a different setting because now you kick Starlight Kid out, you're making them more vicious, and you have Tekla there as well. So there's a lot they can do that can last them 6 months, 10 months, 12 months, 14 months, 15 months, year and a half, 2 years, depending on how long they want to go with it. So it's really exciting times. And again, kudos to the new brass of Stardom booking, because it's another really cool angle that we don't know where it's going, and we're all going to be paying attention to it.
100%.
Now I'm going to clean up my
completely
mess.
Agree. Please do. You absolutely.
I'm throwing your book. That's one of the reasons why I have like 9 copies of your books, because I just throw them all over the place.
Just so rough with them. There's no need. Right. Let's move on to the match that everyone was talking about. I think it was the IWGP Women's Championship match. Mayu Iwatani, the champion, making her 5th successful title defense, defeating Sari in 20 minutes and 26 seconds. Her reign continues past 370 days, comfortably the longest reigning champion in the belt's short lineage. Matt, obviously, ordinarily I'd throw to you first, but I hope you don't mind me sort of going first, because honestly, this is without a shadow of a doubt the best Stardom match I've ever seen. I thought this was phenomenal. We talked about Akai Saya Kamatani. I hope I'm saying that right, Karen, by the way. I think that's red in Spanish, according to in Japanese, according to Duolingo. But white gear, Mayu Iwatani, good God, does that hit different. You just felt an aura as that match. So you've got Sari coming to the ring first, and everything just felt huge. And then Mayu comes to the ring, and suddenly you think, we're actually getting this match. After 4 years of waiting, this match is about to happen. This is going to be incredible. And you know what? This match wasn't pretty. It wasn't one of those overly choreographed matches. Thank you, Karen. It wasn't one of those overly choreographed, beautiful exchanges. This was pure, gritty brutality that at times descended into messy attacks on one another, and the match benefited from that so much. It felt like a legitimate fight. And we talk so much about Zombie Mayu. We really hype up this place where Zombie Mayu just sort of starts taking punishment, loses all sort of emotion, and then just snaps. Here it went to an all different level. Like, she wasn't just Zombie Mayu, she lost her mind. And there was some of these moves where Mayu is legitimately trying to go through Sari. And we talked about that horrible double foot stomp from Kaoru Ito earlier on the card. This match had about 18 different moments where I'm going, oh my God. There was the drop kick from Sari that literally squarely in Mayu's face. There was one moment where Sari turned round and she's just got this welt underneath her eye. Mayu just seemed to be on a completely different level in this match. There was I know that the chances are it's not going to get 5 stars in the Wrestling Observer newsletter because it had the headbutts. But I actually thought that added to the match. It showed the lengths that Mayu was desperate to get to put away Sari. There was just so much of this match that was just so uncomfortable to watch. And it's so unlike a Mayu match to be like that. And I think that's why I loved it so much. Because it wasn't just, your typical Mayu sells for a bit, better than she does, better than anyone else does. She's one of the greatest sellers in the history of the game. But there was just something about this that felt so real, so visceral, that I was so drawn into it. Ultimately, it didn't care. I didn't care who won. I just wanted it to carry on. And I actually put on Twitter that there are so many amazing and talented women's wrestlers in this world. And we're privileged and blessed to be able to watch them on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or whatever, not just in Stardom, but all around the world. But there is not a single woman that comes close to Mayu Iwatani. Fantastic selling, fantastic, incredible offense. But sorry, Jesus Christ, some of those suplexes that she threw, we went proper Dr. Death Steve Williams with some of those backdrop suplexes. Like, how Mayu was able to tuck her neck and not land squarely on the back of her head, I've got no idea. But the danger just added to the legitimacy of this bout. Honestly, banger of a match. I believe in Chasing the Dream. There you go, plugging my own butt there. I said that I'd never awarded an easier 5 stars as I did to Utami versus Syuri from back in June. However, this is possibly easier. In a match where Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson broke the internet with a fantastic match, the fact that this match has got as many plaudits as it has already in the same week speaks volumes about how good this match was. This match is phenomenal. Both women are phenomenal. Their chemistry is phenomenal. Go and seek it out. If you've seen it once, go and watch it again. I mean, finish watching this podcast, but then go and watch it again. Because honestly, I couldn't believe what I'd witnessed having watched it. And there's so few wrestling matches where I watch it and have to pause a stream and just think, what have I just seen? Like, you think you've seen things in wrestling. You think you've seen the best Mayu Iwatani matches. You think you've seen great Sari matches. And then you watch this, the chemistry that these two had in the ring, the just hatred and like just grittiness of the entire thing. Incredible stuff. Incredible, incredible stuff. 5 stars. Easily. Easily.
So you really like this match, buddy?
Gentleman's 3.
Okay. Yeah, one of these days I'll check it out. No, obviously, yes, of course. I watched it live. Not to show our hand here, but obviously we're gonna make the announcement at the end of the show. Go ahead. Looked like you were gonna say something. I don't want to.
No, sorry, there was dust in my face. Yeah, I was just.
I thought maybe you were blowing me a kiss. There's a lot of love here. A lot of love on the Stardom cast.
Absolutely.
Again, we have a major announcement of yesterday, Friday. We filmed for a major podcast. Obviously, huge star, one of the biggest wrestling podcasts, and said wrestling person said that Naomi Toyota is this person's not only favorite female wrestler, but maybe favorite wrestler ever. And I even said, all due respect, you're obviously a legend in the game, one of the best to ever do it. You need to watch Mayu Iwatani and Naomi Toyota, and it's subjective. That's what we say it all the time. It's subjective. You can like what you like. For my money, and I know you'll agree with me, Mayu Iwatani is better than Naomi Toyota. All due respect her. Again, Mayu is just on a completely different level. So I've said that before. Why I've said that numerous times. Special statement. Oh, okay. You're building the drama.
Absolutely.
So this match is getting ready to start. Sari does her entrance, and then I go to my kitchen and get something to drink, and then I come back and I'm standing in my living room, and I'm getting it's like 6 a.m. I'm running on a little bit of sleep. I'm literally getting chills and emotional just on Mayu's entrance because it's just it's just like, wow, like this is a big deal. This is 4 years in the making. Mayu's such a big deal. I literally sold to this person at the end of said podcast, which you folks, again, will tell you what it is at the end of this episode. You folks will hear in 2 weeks when it drops. Like, no said multi-millionaire in wrestling. Toyota's not the best. Mayu's the best. And I was like, God damn, I think I'm right here. Because this was terrific. Rob, my very first note, big lockup. I always put over a big lockup, best lockup with
lockups.
I love it. I told you the origin of that thing is when I did a seminar with Jake the Snake, we for an hour and a half, all we did was lockups because I was like, so I will always put over a big lockup. So yeah, this match was really good. There was a couple double stomps that Sari hits to Mayu where you see Daichi checking in on Mayu and then pulling Sari back, and you're like, I know Mayu's like one of the best sellers ever, top 5 in my opinion sellers ever in the history of wrestling. I was like, is this the selling? And she's using the referee to make it even worse. And then Sari goes to pick up Mayu. Mayu pushes her back. I'm like, oh, is Mayu injured? Sari comes over, hits another double stomp, and then Mayu goes to the outside. I'm like, uh-oh, I think she's injured. And she's trying it. And then Daichi goes to the floor, which it's very rare for the ref to go to the floor to check in on somebody. Usually they're in the ring making the count or having the person try to stay back because you're kind of out of bounds. So I'm like, there's a possibility Mayu's hurt. And then Sari pushes Daichi out of the way or moves out of the way, whatever, and then picks up Mayu, tries to put her back in the ring. And what happens? Mayu hits a snapdragon onto the apron. I'm like, okay, here we go. And we're building. And it's like Sari with the drop kicks and the double stomps. Mayu is one of the best down pies ever. That crucifix bomb, the way that Sari took it on their neck, the way it was built up, the way it happened in the match, more or less of a defensive move. The Mayu's hitting snapdragons. They're going back and forth with the strikes, the kicks. It was a 50-50 match back and forth that eventually Mayu's able to get the event. And part of we're lucky enough that we do a lot of the alternate commentary episodes we do with Mayu. And the one thing we always say is Mayu for like 3/4 of the match is getting her ass kicked. And she just builds towards the finish. She weathers the storm, is able to put a couple moves together, and then gets the finish. That happens here where she's weathering the storm, almost getting Sari to punch herself out, very much like Momo in the final fall, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then she's able to hit a couple suplexes. She hits the moonsault. So I figured, okay, maybe Sari will kick out because Mayu kicked out of the exploder move that Sari does. I don't know what the name that she has for it. It's one where she's basically the hammerlock exploder. I'm sure she has a sun god explosion name for it. And if anybody knows what it is, please put it in the comment section. So she hits it. So Mayu kicks out. So you figure, okay, Mayu's going to hit a big move and Sari's going to kick out. Mayu hits the moonsault, realizes she probably doesn't have enough to pin her, but has enough to open the door for the 2-step dragon, fires up, and then hits the 2-step dragon. I love that finish. She crushes her with the moonsault. Instead of going for the pin, picks her right up and goes into the move that gets her majority of her big wins. She beat Io with that move. She beat Mercedes with that move. I love how she uses that. But again, I love this finish. I agree, partner. This is 5 stars. As much as I love Shuri versus Mayu at the beginning of this year, I'd like this one even better. And this one, I'm going to have to go back and watch it again. As far as match of the year, I know we just saw Danielson and Ospreay. Not only was it my match of the year, it's one of the best matches I've seen on American soil. I know this isn't American soil, but as far as the year 2024 goes, this is neck and neck. This is this good. Almost to the point where it might have broken my stardom scale rating, but whatever. We're going to keep it at 5 stars. You mentioned that big Uncle Dave is probably not going to give this 5 stars, but who cares? We gave it 5 stars. So technically, Rob, Stardom Cast gave this match 10 stars. So eat that, Wrestling Observer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how many stars you'd have given it if Tam was in it?
Well, the only reason why I gave it 5, it was 4.5, but the fact Tam was in the building, I bumped it up a half a star.
Just by Tam by
she was in, yeah, she was in the building. She was on the map beforehand.
Those backdrop drivers were just absolute insanity. And the fact that she kept hitting them, and my 85 stars, Karen. And the fact that Mayu 85 stars.
There you go.
So the fact that Mayu kept taking them, it just felt just insane. And then I think what I loved as well was the selling of the exhaustion. And there was several moments where just adrenaline ran out for both women and they'd just lie there. And it felt so earned. There was a moment where on the outside, Mayu had been launched into the chairs. She'd hit Sari with something. She walked into the Buntai crowd and collapsed. There was a moment where she did the tombstone, which, as we know, is a sort of transitional move before she hits the moonsault or whatever. And instead of doing that, she hit the tombstone and then just collapsed on top of Starry for an attempted pin, not because she wanted to pin her, but because she literally had nothing else to give to go for something else. At one point, she tried to get to the top rope. So she got up, having hit all these moves to Starry, got up, screamed, lifted a leg to get over the top rope, and just collapsed back to the mat. And just that drop in adrenaline really did sell how much both women put into this. And you're absolutely right. We're going to praise Mayu, and rightly so, because she's the best to ever do it. Sorry, though. Jesus Christ, what talent. Like, honestly, incredible. I can't wait to see her match with Julia at Marigold's first show, that Marigold Fields Forever show. I think it's going to be great. Whoever they end up tagging with is going to be awesome. But this here, it felt like a dream match when it was announced. It was hyped as a dream match. It delivered as a dream match. And throughout it, Matt, you hit the nail on the head. You felt like you were witnessing something special. I got goosebumps at different parts of this match because of how good it was. Honestly, incredible match. And it really does say something where I say that this is Mayu's best match when you think about the catalogue of matches that Mayu has had. Like, really is absolutely incredible. And then to top this off,
you keep going. I got to take care of something with Ace and go to the bathroom. I'll be back in like 30 seconds, buddy. You keep going. You're great stuff.
I will. Don't you worry. You take your time, good sir. You take your time. So obviously, after we've had this incredible drawn-out war between these two, and Sari has said that she will come back for this IWGP Women's Championship. Mayu welcomes it. We have another challenge, and that challenge comes in the form of Tsukasa Fujimoto. And especially in the Twitter circles that I sort of am a part of and on our Discord, everyone lost their minds. Now, I'm not incredibly familiar with Fujimoto. I know enough. I know that obviously she is an ice ribbon wrestler. She's wrestled in other places as well, but she is an 8-time ice international ribbon tag team champion. Was a tag team with Arisa Nakajima, the best friends. She is a 7 times Ice Infinity champion. She is an incredibly talented wrestler. I was able to watch just a couple of clips, and that's unfortunately my only exposure to her. But the hype surrounding it and the way that she was announced to, so the way that the entire thing was built made me think, oh my god, okay, this is going to be something special. And I've had a message actually off Velkage that gave me at least the only time that these two have touched, and that was back in 2017, I believe, for Kyoko Kimura's retirement show. And they teased something back in 2017. So, yes, we were every Discord lost their shit. Yes, they did. Plug Pedro. Yes, they did. But they teased something back in 2017. So we talk about 4 years to get Mayu and Sari, and actually it's been even longer, this teasing between Fujimoto and Mayu. So it's going to be an incredible match, I'm sure. I don't know a great deal about Ice Ribbon, but even I know that Fujimoto is a big deal, and this match with Mayu has been an incredibly long time coming. So yeah, I mean, how do you follow one of the greatest matches you've ever watched with another Joshi Dream match? And again, I'm going to do my best to research a lot more on Fujimoto, on the best friends, some of the great matches that they've had. And this is where our Discord comes in, because they will recommend incredible matches. So if you can recommend matches for us to watch with Fujimoto so that we are a little bit more familiar for this inevitable match, whether it is for the IWGP Women's Championship or whether it's a tag match. Obviously, it was announced that Arisa Nakajima is going to be retiring at the end of the year. So maybe we get a best friends versus Mayu and a mystery partner. That would also be incredible. Whether it's an IWGP Women's Championship match or whether it's going to be a tag match, what we do know is that it's going to be great, and I am very, very, very excited for it. Matt, are you all good?
I'm good, buddy. Yeah, I'm good. Ace was scratching the door, and I had to get rid of some water, which I told you before I was going to. The fact I lasted 2 hours was a near miracle. I keep myself hydrated, folks. Like Jake Roberts once said that when he drinks a certain substance, he doesn't drink it, he rents it. So that's pretty much what I do because I'm always keeping the hydration going. But to kind of just piggyback on that angle, hopefully we get both matches. Why not? Why don't we get the tag match and then a singles match as well? I think that would be great. The one thing that I don't know if you noticed the Twitter universe blew up on is that match was supposed to be against Thunder Rock, and they made mention to it. If you go back and watch Mayu's entrance from this show on the ginormous video wall, which again, phenomenal. When they showed Mayu's entrance, they zoomed in on her and Io as the Goddess of Stardom Tag Champs. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not, because it does look like that. If Io's coming in to do any work in Japan, it's probably going to be with Marigold that we talked about last week. But I was like, it got a lot of people talking. It got a lot of people talking to get Thunder Rock back in for, maybe that's, who knows? It is pro wrestling. Stranger things have happened. So, who knows? Regardless, who does Mayu pick? She can pick Hanan. She can pick Momokogo. She can pick Hazuki. There's no wrong answer. There really is no wrong answer. So
Suka proposed a tag match since Nakajima was retiring. Mayu thought she wanted a 2v1 best friends v Iwatani for the IWGP at first after it was after the title. Of course, that's what Mayu thought was going to happen.
That's a gimmick.
Obviously, that's what Mayu thought was going to happen. What do you mean you want a handicap match for the ad? That's not what I'm saying, Mayu. Listen. Anyway, moving on.
After she had one of the greatest matches ever, she had one of the greatest matches ever, and then doesn't understand how language works.
To be fair, after eating some of those kicks, I don't think I'd understand how language works either. Anyway, semi-main event. Saori Anou defending her Wonder of Stardom championship successfully for the second time, defeating the 2024 Cinderella champion Hanan in 21 minutes and 24 seconds. Now, we've hyped a load of these matches up already, especially Mayu versus Sari. But I would argue that this VTR, this video package before this match, was the best of the entire show. I think Stardom did such a fantastic job of building Hanan going into this match. And both of us said that we thought Saori Anou was going to successfully retain. That's what we thought was going to happen. And we said it wasn't a case of who won, it was how Hanan lost. Okay, so yes, okay, we all assumed Saori Anou was going to retain. We all thought that it's not quite Hanan's time, but let's see how she performs. She put any latent doubters right in their place with this match, because not only did she feel like a god tier level main eventer during this match, at 19 years old, by the way, she is 19, but she gained the respect of Saori Anou through this match. So many near falls I genuinely bit on. That 17 near fall, I genuinely thought that she'd won. And I lost my mind. I think we talked about Saya Kamatani being the future ace of this company. We have gone on about how Starlight Kid, with this apparent face turn, is going to be up in the upper echelon of the Stardom talent going forward. Hanan is who you build this company around. Honestly, I know that everyone wanted Hanan to win, because she is so endearingly lovely. She just seems like a really nice person. B, her entire thing about winning the Cinderella, it was exactly what she wanted to do, and she wanted to win the white belt. Those were the two things she wanted to do. And then she puts on this incredible match, baits you into believing that it's going to happen. It's perfect storytelling. And for as good as Hanan is, and she is, Saori Anou is just as good. I mean, good grief, what chemistry these two had. I wasn't sure about Saori Anou as white belt champion. I don't mind admitting that. When she won the belt off Mirai at Dream Queendom, I was like, okay, yeah, I know we have to get the belt off Mirai. That's fine. And yeah, okay, Saori Anou is a decent wrestler, but I'm not entirely sure. But good grief, the aura that she has when she comes to the ring. And then obviously she's committed herself to Stardom, with the odd exception of a couple of freelance dates. I was so impressed with this match. I knew it'd be good. This surpassed my expectations. I think Hanan is something special, and it's no wonder that people like Mayu have highlighted her as something big for the future. The future's now. She's proved that she is more than capable of doing that. And I think the reaction to the fact that she's lost, with so many people left heartbroken that she's lost, I think that proves that, you know what? Maybe she is ready. Maybe she is ready to be at the top of Stardom. Maybe not the red belt, but certainly the white belt. I don't think if she'd have won today, there'd have been a single person disappointed. I don't think there'd have been a single person going, oh, it wasn't her time. I think people have been made up. I think they're building her for that eventual win. But even so, credit where credit is due. Both women put on an absolute banger. It can't have been easy following what was an absolute barn burner. But not only did these women do it, but by God was it entertaining. And by God did it prove that Hannon is ready. Are you ready? Yes.
Yeah. H-A-N-N, Hannon. Yeah. This match was in a tough spot because, again, you have your attraction match with Kong and Meltier, and then you go to that insane tag title match, and then you go to the one of the best matches in the history of the company, and then it's like we know we're going to get a crazy match for the richest prize in all of wrestling. 2 out of 3 falls there, so this match absolutely has to deliver because this is your bridge in between that, so you don't lose the crowd, burn out the crowd, which was wind up being a 5-hour show, not including the pre-show, going into the main event. And again, we made mention of just the camera work was so spot on this show.
Mm-hmm.
When Soriano makes her entrance and the screen splits and she just has that look where she's looking away from the camera and like, that's aura. That's aura. And I made mention when we did our preview. Ponder won the white belt. Is she ready for it? Yes, but there's more money, more upside right now to Soriano. Even to the point where it looks like we're building, and we'll get to it in a minute, they're building towards Natsupoi and Soriano, and everyone thinks that Natsupoi is the next person ready. I think that Soriano is the person they need to get maybe a V5, a V6, a V7 from. I think there's a lot more upside with her as champion for the next few months instead of pivoting to if Hana comes back and wins it, a Hazuki, a Mina, or a Natsubo. I think Soriano is perfect in that role right now for them. The aura, how great she is in the ring, how much she brought Hanan up in this match. I don't think anybody's going to disagree. This is Hanan's best match ever. This was, and it needed to be. It needed to be. And the match starts out really good. We knew it was going to go right around 20 minutes. We get some really good technical wrestling, and then they start building. Hanan hits the famous there on the floor, like off the apron on the floor. I'm like, okay, now we're going. And now we're trading suplexes. And now they're even trading like the release Hanan specials going back and forth, which I thought was really cool. And then they're building. And I put this out on Twitter today. I think Soriano has like the best bridge in the history of wrestling. Like, I think Kurt Hennig move aside. I think Soriano has you beat. It's like insane. It really is. I mean, obviously Tam has a good one. Mayu has a next level one as well. But like Soriano's is just insane in the way that she works it into the, what I always call the perfect plex. Like what she does the fisherman suplex on the apron to Hanan here, and then she's building, and they're going back and forth with the German suplexes. And then the way that Hanan starts building her arm work to get to the dandelion, and they're working that in, and then she goes for it again, is able to use the 17, and then she goes and she hits the Tom's Tundra, and then Han's able to kick out. The Tom's Tundra, she's able to kick out, and then she hits the backdrop driver, and then she only gets the 2 count. And this is the genius of Hanan and the genius of Hanan's booking the last month and a half. She got a lot of big wins in the Cinderella tournament with the wrist clutch backdrop driver. She beat Mirai and Korakuen Hall, right? So you're not only getting Hanan over, you're getting the move over. Nobody kicks out of it. She beats Mirai, the 2-time winner of this tournament in Korakuen Hall. She beats Ami Sourei in the finals. You're getting this move over. She hits it back to back on Soriano and Daichi. There's so many little things. I don't know, maybe because Daichi's our new friend now after Philadelphia. So many little things that Daichi did to make these matches better. Again, when he went out to go see if Mayu was okay. So she hits the wrist clutch back, and it's literally the peak of the match. And I'm like, maybe they're going to change the belt because she hits it perfectly. And I'm looking at Soriano's face. I'm very big on falsies. If their eyes are up and if they're staring at the referee, Soriano's eyes are closed. And Daichi, before he goes to make the cover, he looks at the timekeeper to be like, ring the bell because this is the title change. 1, 2, and his pinky grazes. And I'm like, oh my God. Hanan fires up. And I was like, okay, this is where Soriano now is going to counter and maybe hit the Potter ring or another Tom's Tundra. But she hits the backdrop driver again. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to change the belt because she hit her finish twice, the one that helped her win all those big matches in the Cinderella tournament. Hanan shows her inexperience, 19 years old, fires up, and instead of going for the pinfall, goes for another one. And this is perfect timing by Soriano. She gets her right here. And looks like she's just getting ready to drop her on her head again. And Soriano at the very last second flips out. And the next thing you know, pottering 1, 2, 3. So Hanan gets over on this show almost as much as anybody else with a loss because of how much she took Soriano to the limit. She was so close, and now it's like you have the doubt. It's like, what if I just went for the cover? Would I have been able to beat her? And when Soriano was able to flip out of that last backdrop Tandra or German suplex or the Ocean City suplex that she's been using for a finish, she uses the pottering, the backslide from heaven, as a quick fall and catches her out of nowhere, to literally the point where Hanan's like, she got out before Soriano. She's like, oh my, are you kidding me? I just destroyed this lady. And I was ever so close. She's ready for the belt. However, I just think that as of right now, Soriano is the person to go to. Look at those two matches with Mirai, the Starlight Kid match, and this match. Let her have a V6, a V7, something like that. A V8, and I don't mean the vegetable drink. Or maybe I do. But again, Hanan, we just solidified her in the last 6 weeks as someone that you can put in a main event and it's going to deliver. Again, this match was in the hardest spot because you're bridging two great matches. Again, one of the greatest matches in Stardom history. And now we need to bridge this with the World of Stardom Championship match. And they did it perfectly. They did it absolutely perfect. 4 3/4 stars, my friend. Another great match in the history of the Wonder of Stardom Championship.
Yeah, obviously post-match then, both Amisori and Natsupoi came out in order to sort of announce themselves as the new number one contenders. They will actually have a number one contender match in, I believe, Fukuoka. So I think this is only going to go one way. You've been building to the Natsupoi Soriano match. I imagine that is where we're going. Matt, I love you as a brother. I think Natsupoi wins it. For me, the right person to take it from Soriano is Natsupoi. We talked earlier about how she's the most underrated wrestler on this Stardom roster, with the possible exception of Hazuki. I think that she has to win it. There's been subtle teases, their stories are intertwined. It makes perfect sense. So have Natsupoi beat Amisori in the number one contenders match, which I think happens anyway, regardless of the white belt outcome. I think Natsupoi wins, because then flashing champions, I would have Natsupoi dethrone Soriano. I don't think Soriano loses anything. Well, aside from the belt, obviously, by only having 2 successful title defenses. However, Natsupoi, I feel like if she doesn't get it now, she doesn't get it, because everything has fallen into place. You said yourself that she needs those big victories. A big victory over Amisori, some tag victories in the Stardom World shows leading up to Flashing Champions, and suddenly you've got a worthy number one contender. We've seen how quickly Stardom can turn people around. The crowd support for Natsupoi as well. We've talked about it before. That every time she's gone for the white belt, she had that fantastic match with Tam in Yokohama. She had that brilliant match with Saya Kamatani in Nagaoka, which everyone seems to forget because it was on the same card as that Starlight Kid and Azumi match, but it was absolutely tremendous. Her fantastic match with Mina Shirakawa in Fukuoka almost exactly a year ago. Like, everything falls into place with Natsupoi as white belt champion. For me, anyway. I know that there's quite a few people in the chat who feel the exact same. Yes, I'm gutted for Hanan. Yes, of course, because she is a tremendous, tremendous talent. Again, she is 19. Yes, it hasn't quite happened for her here. However, there's so much upside to her, and she will get there. There is, short of some devastating injury, which touch wood hopefully isn't going to happen, nothing is standing in her way. She is the future ace of this company. And I would be amazed if we're not here in 3-4 years' time and Hannah isn't a white belt and red belt champion. It would amaze me. I know that, obviously, if you are a Stardom fan, you want Hazuki to win the white belt. And that, we've, to the point where both me and Matt said to Okada, please, Hazuki white belt. Like that's going to do anything.
We're trying, Hazuki. We're trying over here.
I do think it'll happen. I do think Hazuki will eventually get the white belt. Whether, maybe that's where we go. Maybe we go Poi to beat Saori Anou at Flashing Champions. Natsupoi holds it till Dream Queendom. Hazuki dethrones Natsupoi at Dream Queendom. Maybe that's where we go. Natsupoi then gets the reign that she deserves. And then in a big show in Tokyo, in Sumo Hall, Hazuki finally, because she's 0-6 going for the white belt. It's becoming this albatross around her neck. She finally throws that off and is able to dethrone Natsupoi. That still gives Natsupoi, 8 months as champion? 9 months as champion. So,
No.
It's still a long... No, what am I talking about? Not at all. It's
you go the other way.
Come on, Robbie. Basic maths. Come on, you can do this.
Well, she wins that Flashing Champion. Flashing Champions is in May. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
My God.
That's what happens when you hang out with me, folks. I will take all the blame for that.
Right. The great thing about this going out later as a podcast is I can edit that bit out.
No, leave it in, man.
Live
Brilliant.
Anyway, that being said, we still have a main event to talk about. And that main event, of course, is for the World of Stardom Championship. Maika making her 4th successful title defense of the World of Stardom Championship against Momo Watanabe in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Winning 2-1 with Momo Watanabe actually winning the first fall, the regular match. This played out exactly as you said it was going to, Matt. Maika then winning the hardcore match and then outlasting Momo in the last woman standing match. I think it was a brave choice to do a 2 out of 3 falls match. However, I think both women did extremely well. Now, you said, Matt, when you watched it live, that Momo was wrestling like white belt Momo. And I agree. I do agree.
In fall one, yeah.
In fall one. My only issue with this match is that we had a hardcore match and then a last woman standing match back to back, which were basically the same match. For me, anyway. Go on, Matt.
Okay, sir. Hey, what was the time on this match? Do you have the time?
This went 35:05.
Oh, I thought it'd go closer to 50. 35. I mean, obviously didn't feel it. Okay. I did see some people complaining online that's like you had a great first fall. Phenomenal. And then Maika
was fantastic.
You literally can run this one back. Maybe at Fukuoka. And Momo can literally say, if this was a straight up 1 fall match, I'd be champion. You can literally run this back and literally do the same first fall, stretch it out 3 or 4 minutes, and it's still a 4.5 to 4 3/4 star match. I mean, it was fantastic. But I did see a lot of people saying, wait, we had this hardcore match, and then afterwards we had a last women standing match, and they didn't use any weapons for the last women standing match. I see your point. However, I'll get the one negative thing out of the way. There was a point where Momo uses the ladder. And you have Tora and I think it might have been Rina holding the ladder. And then Maika stops her. And then Maika goes for the superplex. She hits the superplex off the ladder. And Tora and Rina are still holding the ladder. It's like, wait a minute. You're in a Wedo tie. You're the biggest cheating heel group in the company. This is legal right here. And you're still holding the ladder. So your fellow member can get beat up. And the same thing happened with the table spot. The two of them are in the ring holding the table. It looks like Momo was going to use the table. The tides get turned, and instead of them helping Momo from the power bomb, they're still holding the table. Like, what are you doing? Like, you figured they would have maybe ran interference there, but whatever. It was what it was. The hardcore match, you had a whole bunch of plunder, in the immortal words of the late great Dusty Rhodes. And then they reset for the fall number 3, the last women's standing match, and they clear all that out. And it's just the two of them hitting each other back and forth. And the whole psychology is you have this phenomenal regular match in the first fall. Again, Micah wrestling like she wants to be the best wrestler in the world. And I'll get to that in a minute because Micah's stock has gone up so much over the past couple months. And Momo putting on one of her best matches just in this fall alone. And then again, Momo does get the clean win with the Peach Thunder. And now Micah has to go to Momo's match. And I thought it was really cool. Momo came out with a barbed wire baseball bat. So now it's like, oh, we're up in the ante before we even get into the ring because you know this is going to get used. Gets used in fall number 2. Fall number 2 because Momo's on the offensive because Micah just got dropped on her head. Momo is really putting it to Micah. They're on the floor. She's whipping Micah into a whole bunch of chairs. She suplexes her on the chairs on the floor. That's the Oedo Tai brawl. Eventually, Michael's able to weather the storm from Momo, not only from the beating she got in fall 1, but the beating that she got in fall 2, hits the Michinoku driver onto a pile of chairs, gets the 3 count. I thought that was great. And now they move all the rubies and the shards of table and all that stuff comes out. Now we have the last women standing. And really the way that I look at this is a heavyweight championship fight. We're in round 15. It's 7 rounds to 7 rounds. We are all tied up. And whoever comes out of this fall, wins this round, wins the match and becomes champion. And Momo's throwing head kick after head kick after head kick, and Mike is just eating it. And for every 3 or 4 that she's eating, she's giving like 1 or 2 back, if that. I mean, she's just getting wailed on here, and it looks like she's not going to be able to answer the fall. She's taking the peach sunrise, the tequila sunrise, and she's just getting whooped for majority of this final fall. And this is a different side of Micah we don't see because 9 times out of 10, she's the bigger, stronger, more bully-ish style wrestler in these matches because she's so much bigger. With Momo, it makes sense because by the way Momo was built up going into this match, you know, defeating Utami, defeating Sai, defeating Sherry, them in the last 4 or 5 Stardom World shows with Momo just and Micah going at each other. It makes sense because we know how much of a badass that Momo is. Where Momo fails here in the final seconds is she unloads the gas tank. She's got nothing left, and Micah has just that much left, and she sees her opening, and she's getting waylaid in round 15, you know, if we're going to a boxing term, and she has that little bit left where Momo has nothing left, and what does she do with that little left? She hits her big finisher. She hits the Michinoku driver and barely outlasts Momo. I love that psychology going into the final fall. If you just watch the final fall, you're like, it was okay. But if you watch the way this match is built, and again, Momo, very much like Han and in a loss, if you're grading that on points, Momo had 60-65% of this match, which was brilliant because Momo's a badass, and we've never seen Micah on the back foot like this before. Even in the matches with Shiri, even in the matches with Utami, those championship matches she's lost, she has 45-50% of the match, maybe even 55%, where this was different. Now we have a new level of Micah. Her selling, her resilience, and her ability to fight back, fight through the pain, and to get the win in a main event match for the World of Stardom Championship. Rob, I've made mention on this podcast the past month or so, Saya Kamatani is going to be the new ace of this new, regime of Stardom. It's only a matter of time before she wins the red belt, and whatever she did with the white belt, you can copy and paste and do it with the red belt, and it's going to make a whole bunch of money and put Saya Kamatani in a different level. And I'm the huge Saya Kamatani fan. You know that. I'm going to tell you that. I'm all about this Micah run now. Great match with Suzu to win the belt. Phenomenal match with Sai at the anniversary show. That match with Utami at the final of the Cinderella. It's one of my favorite matches I've seen all year. And this one is right up there as well because it's something different. Micah is the ace now. Very much like when I first started watching Stardom, it was in the middle of Utami's run. And I know me and you talked how no one thought Utami was going to defeat Mayu to win the championship back in 2020. And it was a surprise, and they really put everything like, well, how can Utami do with this pressure? In 2021, it was one of the best years the company had not only from a creative aspect and match aspect, but from a financial aspect. They drew a lot of money on tickets, Stardom World subscriptions, pay-per-views, with Utami at the top for majority of the year up until when she lost to Shuri on the 29th of Dream Queendom. This is where Mike is for me, because it's like, we've never seen her with the white belt before. She's the main event in some shows and done well. We're really putting the red belt on her almost as because Tam got injured and we weren't sure what we were going to do. And, obviously there were rumors that they wanted to go to Suzu, and then Rossi and Bushiroad butted heads. So it's like, okay, this is where we're going with Micah. So you're really wondering what they're going to do with Micah. And again, home run with Suzu, home run with Saya, great matches that they've had at the Stardom World shows, phenomenal match with Utami. She does it here again, drawing in the main event, 2,800 people, phenomenal show, great way to close it out. I'm all for this Micah run. What I would like to see in this run is a clean win over Tam, clean win over Shuri, and maybe a clean win over Mayu. If Mayu keeps having these successful title defenses, why didn't she say, I got no more challenges, I want to go back after the red belt? Again, we don't know how long her contract is. If she's going to do a 2-month extent, we don't know. That would be, or if she is going to leave after the 5-star.
Well, we don't know, do we? We don't. She might not leave. We don't know. It's all conjecture.
She might go to TNA. She might go to TNA. We mentioned that.
Yeah. Miles Ilatani, I've told you.
Regardless, I love this match. I am so now into this Micah red belt run. I hope it goes all the way to Dream Queendom, and if it makes sense, even longer. This was 5 stars for me. I love the psychology. Wow. I love the layers in it. And I love the fact we have a completely different Micah, that when you build up a badass heel like Momo Watanabe, now we can get you on the back foot to eat a whole bunch of kicks and this, that, and the other thing, and to have in reserve, very much like a Mayu, and to put the finishing touches on the match. This was fantastic. And again, this is another 5-star match for me for Micah. We talked about, we're in the first quarter of the year. We're pretty much in May. The first 4 months are done. Rest of the year for a lot of people, and again, it's subjective. You can like what you like. Rest of the year for most people is Ospreay, Danielson, Mayu. We might have to start thinking about putting Micah in this category as well. We really do. She's doing a fantastic job with this red belt run. And again, a lot of these Stardom World shows are sold out on tickets. Who's your main champion? And I know you have a stacked roster, but who's your main champion? Micah. So I think it's time that we put some respect on the world of champion Stardom's name, Micah. And heavy rumor, Rob. One of the rumors I heard as well, very much what Tam whispered to Starlight Kid, is the reason why Micah was able to withstand so much punishment is because she was fueled on Stardom Cast beer, which we did give her a Stardom Cast beer, and she tweeted out when we met her in Philadelphia. Again, it's a rumor I can't confirm or deny.
Absolutely. A couple of things actually from the chat. Vankin says, unless Saya goes to Marigold next year. Now, this one, if I were a betting man, I would say that Saya won't go to Marigold, at least not yet. I feel like if she was going to go to Marigold, she'd have gone with Utami. I think now that she's stayed in Stardom, and I could be categorically wrong, like I was with Mayu. But if I was a betting man, I would say that Saya wants to establish herself as the ace of Stardom now. If she was going to leave, and I'm not saying that there wasn't talks of her wanting to leave. I think there was actually, she did an interview in Tokyo Sports where she said she did think about leaving, like really quite seriously. And she also thought about becoming a freelancer as well. So, I don't think she will leave to go to Marigold, certainly for the next year or two. I don't think you'll see Saya leave until she's been Red Belt champion. I think that's Saya's goal. And then Karen has actually said, we haven't had a heel world champion since B, so I'm holding out hope for Momo someday. I agree. I did talk about this actually. I can't remember if it was in the preview episode or not. But it would be a refreshing change of pace. I did think Michael would retain here, but I did see the case for Momo because I actually went further back. I thought Kagetsu was the last heel champion because I know B was B part of Queen's Quest when she was champion, or was she part of I think she was Queen's Quest. So I always thought she was more of a tweener than an actual fully fledged heel. I might be wrong, Karen. I'm sure.
It's Karen. So Karen's always right. She's the best.
Karen, yeah, I am probably wrong, Karen. I'll be honest. But even so, we haven't had that sort of heel champion for a very, very long time. And I think that would have been a refreshing change of pace right at the top of the card. Momo is starting to be with this red belt like Hazuki is with the white belt. Because I think this was Momo's 6th attempt at the World of Stardom Championship. And it's so weird. Having looked back, I am most certainly not always right. Yes, you are, Karen. It's so weird looking back on it now. If you look at 2018, Io Shirai's left, and the two people highlighted as the top stars in the company are Momo Watanabe and Mayu Iwatani. And then you compare where both those wrestlers are now, it's so bizarre the difference in path. Like Momo had that fantastic run with the white belt and then hasn't reached those heights since. And really, you think the natural progression really would have been Momo going to the red belt. Like she had that fantastic run with the white belt. She dropped it. Right. Your next step is the red belt. And obviously we don't know the politics backstage. There's rumors that it was to do with, unfortunately, to do with looks. That was a heavy rumor that was going around, which is absolutely ridiculous. That was sort of compounded by the fact that she was the only member of Queen's Quest not on the Wrestle Kingdom pre-show. But that's by the by. I would love to see a Momo red belt run. I'm gutted that, in 2024, she's still not held that belt. I still can't quite get my head around it. It's going to be a while now because I imagine there are people that are in the queue before Momo, Saya Kamatani being one of them. But yeah, it's really quite sad. Because, like I say, you look back at 2018, Io's left. She's put over both Momo and Io. Momo and Mayu. And actually, then their first one-on-one fight was Stardom True Fight 2018 for the white belt, and Momo beat Mayu. So, yes, Mayu was the icon of Stardom, but Momo was the future. Like, everyone thought Momo was the one that was going to be like the big star. And really, it hasn't worked out for her. And actually, we all thought that the heel turn, the joining of a Weathertie was going to be that catalyst, that real new coat of paint. And I said to you, it's one of my big disappointments with Stardom is that they really did drop the ball with her heel turn. Didn't capitalize on it at all because it was such a shock that she turned, especially on Azumi as well. A lot of support for Momo in the chat. A lot of support for Momo, and rightly so. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's my 4th favorite Stardom wrestler of all time. I made a mention. It's Mayu, Io, Kairi, and Momo. She's on my my Mount Rushmore, and I'm glad that she got this push. Yeah, I'm glad she got this push and she got this main event in this this huge show, which will probably be their biggest drawing show of the year. I mean, who knows? But correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were the one that told me maybe about a month ago that the biggest draw in the history of Stardom, Cork and Hall, was Momo and Mayu at the 9th anniversary show for the red belt, right?
16, I believe it was 1,609 people off the top of my head. It was definitely 1,600 and something. It was the highest Stardom attendance at Korakuen Hall to date, anyway.
Yeah, and one was in the main event. So, partner, real quick, what was your star rating on the co-main event and the main event? The white and red?
White belt was 4.5. Main event was 4.25.
Yeah, we were right there as always, my man. Right there as always. So, my man, I guess is it time for a big announcement now as we're getting you said there's no way we're going to go close to 3 hours. I was like, oh, you underestimate our ability to talk about wrestling.
I really do underestimate just how much we talk absolute nonsense. I want another Sari match. Yes, I do as well, Vanken. Absolutely, 100%. Just run it back every week. Mayu versus Sari. Just run it back. Yeah, go for it, Matt. Announce it.
Do you want me to do it, or you're the godfather of this podcast? I was gonna do the drum roll and have you announce it. Do you want me to do it? It's up to you.
Nah, mate, this podcast is nothing without you. You go for it.
Oh, what a guy. Yesterday I did make mention we did record for a very, very big podcast. It is going to come out Wednesday, May 8th, as myself and Rob Goodwin are going to make our second appearance on One Talk is Jericho. So we made an appearance maybe 8-9 months ago. They were very adamant of the number that came out. They got nothing but praise. They wanted us back. We were waiting for kind of a hot topic to talk about. Myself and Stacy, who is Chris's producer, who is probably the easiest and nicest person I've ever dealt with in my 21 years involved in this great sport of pro wrestling. Very easy to deal with. I messaged her maybe about a week and a half ago, and I said, hey, a lot of Stardom stuff on AEW. Obviously, Chris is part of AEW and part of helping certain things out. Might be a good time to bring us back. And then 2 days later, she's like, can you guys record such date? I said, sure, no problem. We went and did it. And then within a matter of hours, she sent me an email saying it's going to come out Wednesday, May 8th, and they're going to send us a whole bunch of promotional material. Chris and his team, Stacy and everybody talking Jericho has been nothing but amazing to us, helping us get to this next level. So it seems like this may be a 1 or 2 time a year thing, fingers crossed, with us going on a big platform like Talk is Jericho to get, for us to come on and talk about Stardom. And we had some Marigold talk as well. So that is a lot to do with you folks because of the great support that you've shown us. And again, nothing but high praise when we were on last year. So that was our big announcement. We will be back on Talk is Jericho Wednesday, May 8th.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone for facilitating that. It doesn't happen without you guys. The support we get is absolutely wild. I mean, this live stream peaked over 110 people. And I believe the last live one we did, I think, peaked at 35. So, the growth is absolutely insane. Thank you so much to everyone that's joined us in the chat, that's joined us, watching us on Twitter and on YouTube. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you, Pedro. We love you too. Honestly, thank you so much. It's incredibly humbling. I hate doing stuff like this because I know I sound so insincere, but genuinely, I mean it so much. All you guys are absolutely amazing. So thank you. Thank you, really, from the bottom of our hearts. Apparently, just last thing before we stop, Kirby Freeman actually put that the Japanese commentary team called Micah Stardom's ace. So interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult to disagree with that at the moment, like you said. And what you didn't mention, Matt, was that the match with Megan Bayne over delivered as well.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, that was probably my second favorite match all WrestleMania weekend, behind Briscoe and Kingston. Yeah.
Can we just talk about that second rope Michinoku driver, please? Jesus Christ. Thank you very much, Justin. You're more than welcome. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for nearly 3 hours. We'll be back next Wednesday, or when this Wednesday coming, for our review. Obviously, I'm moving house, so it will be dependent on internet after that, but Matt is going to be obviously holding it down for me because he's the absolute best. There will be an alternate commentary that will be dropping on Monday. That was Sai Kamatani versus Mina Shirakawa from All-Star Grand Queendom last year. So that will be in your feeds on Monday. Tomorrow, so Sunday the 28th, you'll have Aja Kong versus Meiko Satomura, our retro watch along. So check that out as well. Patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. Thank you to everyone that already subscribes. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, you can wherever you get your podcasts. If you haven't already, if you could leave us a 5-star review and a comment, that would be awesome, and it's a free way to support the podcast. Helps us be exposed to even more people. We're on all sorts of social media at the Stardom Cast. Don't forget to check out the website www.thestardomcast.com. Again, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. You can join for as little as $1 a month, getting all of our episodes early and ad free, and a whole host of bonus content that Matt is very much in charge of and absolutely killing it with, I will just say. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to talk to me on Twitter, you can. It's at RealRobGoodwin. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us for this 3-hour Leviathan-like review. We hope you enjoyed it. Most importantly, we hope you enjoyed the show. And yeah, Matt, time to sign us off, good sir.
Absolutely. This is our second live stream. This was an absolute blast. If logistics work well, we're probably going to be doing this for the finals of the 5-Star Grand Prix. As long as everything lines up, we probably want to do maybe 2 or 3 of these a year because it's a blast to do. It's a great way to live interact with all the friends and family at the Stardom Cast. Rob did make mention of all the phenomenal stuff we have coming on the Stardom Cast Extra, the Patreon. I did interview Allison Danger yesterday as well for our What If episode. And I don't need to tell you, this is one of the best episodes I've ever done. It was terrific. We did What If we were to book Naomi Toyota in current day Stardom. At least that's what I did. And the day before, she said, well, can I take a left turn and just book Naomi Toyota in every major wrestling company in America. And I'm like, Allison, you can do what you want. And it turned out to be a really a phenomenal episode. Really, really good stuff. Allison's great to us. She's helping us out with a lot of other things as well. We have a lot of irons in the fire, not just going on Talk is Jericho in a couple weeks, but there's just a lot of live review of the first Marigold show. This is the day after my birthday. I'm taking that day off from work.
Well, the Marigold Standard, our Marigold podcast, will be starting on the 20th. So that's actually not a bad shout, to be fair, Justin. So we might do, just, put a pin in that. We might well do that for the first episode of the Marigold Standard.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Again, you're in control because, like I always say, you guys need to get a hold of me. Questions, comments, suggestions. We love suggestions. That's a great idea. Get a hold of me, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram and or the Twitter. You want to shoot me an email, the stardomcast22@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me via email. Folks, thank you again so much for the fantastic support. Can't do it without you. And I really do mean this. Like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast because we're all together and everybody's different. Everybody's special.